Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Where's G today?
Hey!
Where's G? No G. Jason, Bull, Jay. G's out. Gonna be back tomorrow?
Yeah, he just had a routine checkup.
Awesome.
That was this morning, so he is totally fine. He's back tomorrow. We knew he was going to be out all week today, so
Very good.
He's back tomorrow.
Hey, a lot, obviously, Browns galore on today's show, but you wanted to get into some Stephen Vogt stuff.
Yeah, just for a minute, because we talked about it briefly the other day, and I did a podcast about it, but just a couple of quick things, because I've spoken to some more people over the last couple of days and heard some more interviews with some of his former teammates, and that information combined really makes me high on this move. Whenever you hire a new manager, you never know if it's going to work out, especially if it's a guy with no managerial experience. Stephen Vogt might turn out to be a terrible manager and get fired in 3 years. We have no idea. But everything I've heard about this guy, both on a one-on-one from people texting me and in interviews, I just recently heard an interview with Mark Canha, who's just got traded to the Tigers and was a teammate of his. I mean, it's through the roof. Everybody says this guy's been like waiting to do this for his entire playing career. And one other thing I wanted to throw out, because I think the Guardians would benefit from a veteran, experienced coach to be his bench coach. And as far as I know, there's been no talk yet about his coaching staff, unless anybody can correct me on that. But I haven't heard anything about his coaching staff. Have you guys?
No. Not yet.
I'll just throw this out there. I think this is unlikely, but it could be interesting if he were willing to do it, if nobody's interested in hiring him as a manager anymore. But the first manager that Stephen Vogt played for, does anybody know who that was?
Was it Tony La Russa?
Nope, but it's a guy at Tony La Russa's age. Joe Madden.
Joe.
Joe Madden.
Yeah, Joe's out there still.
And
I think he was consulting for someone last year.
Right, and I don't know. I mean, he probably still wants to be a manager, so I don't know. But
Yeah. Hey, I'd take him in the
having
dugout
Joe Madden as
any
your
day.
bench coach, you
Yeah.
know, because the trickiest thing for a new manager is handling the bullpen. To me, that's the trickiest thing.
Yep.
And but Stephen Vogt was a bullpen coach last year with the Mariners.
So he's got experience in that.
And he also has experience with analytics. He's, from what I'm told, a great balance of both worlds of scouts and analytics. Anyway, I'm very high on the move. We'll see how it pans
I am
out,
too.
though.
I love it. Same with you. Everybody I talked to about
Yeah.
him, glowing
Loves him.
marks.
Loves
Nobody
him.
had anything even. I even asked a couple folks, anything negative?
Yeah.
No, don't have anything for you on
Nothing.
that. Everybody likes him.
Yeah.
I love what you said about the mix between gut and analytics. We talk all the time about how the pendulum swings. You know, the last two World Series managers are 68 and 76.
Right.
And they're using a whole lot of gut. And so I do think that there is more infusion of feel into the process, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. However, the Astros, who have been in the championship series 7 times in a row, have the biggest analytics department in
Which
the
is
league,
one of the reasons-
even though they had an old manager.
Which is one of the reasons Dusty Baker is gone. Dusty Baker's going to manage again, from what I'm told, which
Oh,
shocked
yeah?
me. I asked
That is stunning.
the first person that said it to me. I said, "Is that your guess?" Is it? No, I think he's going to manage again.
Yeah.
He
We'll
didn't
see.
like being handcuffed with analytics, and he wants to go somewhere where he can manage the team. So it'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
if that comes true or not.
And quick
But
shout
I
out
like
to-
Stephen Vogt. I think that's a good hire.
Quick shout out to Cleveland's own John Fanta, who's an up-and-coming young play-by-play guy. I don't know if you guys know him. He does play-by-play, a lot of college. He's a big
on the
college
show.
basketball guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he was on the show. I forgot we had him.
Something nutty we had him on. I forget now what it was.
I
must have not been here that
I
day.
don't think I was
I
either.
not?
I don't remember him.
No, he was here. He came on. We talked Cavs. We
was
talked
the
some
Cavs.
Browns
It
with
was-
him. Yeah, he was here.
It was some sort of Cavs hot take he had.
Oh, okay. But anyway, he is a up-and-coming young play-by-play guy who's from Cleveland. Yeah, Jason, you got to put your mic on for crying out loud.
Rookie mistake.
And John was calling the St. John's game yesterday, and I was, interested in watching St. John's for the first time in 20 years.
How'd they do?
Because of Rick Pitino, they won.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing Stony Brook, not a big-time program,
No.
but
was Patino his?
All right.
yeah, Pitino was, doing his thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, but John did a great job on the call of the game.
Good.
He's really a great up-and-coming young broadcaster. He's from Cleveland, so give him a shout-out.
Yeah,
There you go.
I like our guy. We both like Ian Eagle a lot.
Oh, the best. He's
but
the best.
his kid
is good.
Noah's
Is he?
phenomenal, too.
He's like 26, 25, 26
he's
years
good.
old.
Just turned 26 years old.
He's
amazing.
really good.
He's probably going to be, the Joe Buck of the next generation.
Oh, yeah. He's
I
a
think
big-time
he's
talent.
tremendous.
I
Yeah.
couldn't even put my microphone on at 26.
Jeez.
I still can't put my microphone on.
What's funny is it took us 5 minutes into the show to realize it wasn't on. Yeah, good luck getting a word in today between Bull and I. All right, big offensive day. We're going to break down the Browns offense and the Ravens offense for Sunday's upcoming game between the Browns and the Ravens, big AFC North clash. Leroy Hord's going to be on. Looking forward to that and much, much more. This is a new segment, right? This thing,
Yeah.
Is this pace sustainable?
Yeah,
You wanna
essentially we're
explain that?
halfway through the Browns season. I kind of figured out players game-by-game average, looked at the schedule, figured, all right, this is where they're at the midway point.
Yeah.
This is where I think they could be at the end of the season. You guys tell me if I
I
over-exaggerated,
hope on the offensive side, the answer is it better be, because when you look at some of these game averages for these key offensive pieces, you scratch your head and say, how's this team 5-3?
Yeah.
Because what the wide receivers have contributed is, you take Amari Cooper out of this mix, my goodness. I mean,
Well, the worst in the league. If
we
you take
talked
Amari's
about-
numbers out.
We
yeah,
talked
awful.
about on Monday, I remember saying to the guys, I was like, is anybody on this defense having a bad season? And we really couldn't think of anybody.
can't
And on
think
the
of somebody.
opposite side, I could give you one guy, as you said, Amari Cooper.
That's it.
Like, who's having a good season? At least in terms of quarter. I would say David Njoku's having a
Njoku
fine
is too,
season.
yeah.
He's having one of his better seasons.
But is anybody else really having a good season?
no, I mean, who's going to be on the Pro Bowl from the offense?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I mean, that's tough.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe Cooper and
No, I
maybe
don't think
Njoku.
so.
But, I mean, when you look at the tight ends in the AFC, good luck with that.
No, Njoku's, no.
But, I mean, and Amari Cooper, obviously, if you ask fans around the league, hey, is Amari Cooper having a great year? They're like, I don't know, I guess.
He's having a good year.
he's
I wouldn't
having a
say he's
good
having a great
year,
year. I mean,
but he's
considering
certainly
the
not-
quarterback play, he's having a very good year.
It's been
We're
crazy.
going to discuss that
Yeah.
coming up after Leroy.
Good morning to you, Mikey McNuggets.
What's
the
up,
hat?
guys?
I
It
can't
is
make
a
out that
beautiful
logo.
Day. It's Emerson. Shout out to Emerson.
very
Yeah,
nice.
repping the Emerson hat.
What's their nickname? What's their
We're the Lions.
mascot? The Lions.
Yeah, the Lions.
Emerson
Pretty basic,
Lions.
generic logo. They actually updated. We were a Shield my freshman and sophomore year. Then they had this student logo design to make a lion logo.
Nice.
And they took all these student designs, and they were awesome. And then they ended up paying like $500,000 to a different company to do it. And this is what they came up with. It's trash. I'm still mad at them for that because the student designs are way better. But that's besides the point. If you're looking to make money, just like Emerson stole money from us, you better be using FanDuel because you could actually make money in a good way by
education.
winning tickets on basketball, football, baseball, hockey. You name it, you can find it on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Guys, if you have winning FanDuel tickets, send them our way. We're down to our last one in the queue right now, and this one comes from 2 weeks ago, but this was such a good winner, I wanted to show it because we didn't get a chance to show it. But 2 weeks ago, our guy Kyle had a 5-part anytime touchdown parlay. Mark Andrews, Mike Evans, Jerome Ford, Stephon Diggs, and that turned $2 into $122. So shout out to him. Shout out to Kyle. And if you have a winning FanDuel ticket, make sure you send it our way, and we'll give you some love on the airways of UCSS.
We have to get Corey up. I'm pretty sure he uses FanDuel. He had a $300 parlay on the Browns on Sunday.
Tell him to send it in.
Yeah, I'll
Send it
tell
our
him
way.
to text it over.
Let's
He was
go.
very excited about it, too. All right, let's just dive right in. And I thought your starting point today was interesting because on the surface, you would say there's a fairly large gap between Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. And that's what we're talking about. But you went an interesting way. Your question was, has he closed the gap with the way he played on Sunday? Because if you would have asked this question before Sunday's game, you're like, what kind of question is that? I mean, one's playing at, a Pro Bowl caliber level, and the other one has been out with injury, has been below average for most of his starts, and really good in the Tennessee game. But I think he was very good in the Arizona game by what we've seen from him so far. Has he closed that gap between the two?
Jason?
No, I don't think you can say that yet. Now, Here's what I think you have to be optimistic about.
They were once mentioned in the same breath.
Yeah, I know. Not that long ago. But his last full game, Tennessee, he was terrific. Then Indy, I think you can throw it out because clearly he wasn't ready. I thought the first half Sunday, he did not look good.
No.
I don't care what anybody says. He didn't look good in the first half. Second half, he looked better. So if you want to take, his last 8 full quarters, he's pretty good in 6 of the 8. So for that reason, I think you can have some optimism that he's turning the corner here and starting to figure some things out. But when you're talking about, Lamar's had one of the best seasons of his career. So I still think it's a pretty wide gap. Doesn't mean the Browns can't win the game. Doesn't mean Deshaun can't go out and ball out on Sunday. But if you have to pick one quarterback for your team to play on Sunday, who are you taking? I'm taking Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, that's easy.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
And he's closed. If you say he's closed the gap, it's like the other day when I said the Browns were a worse roster without DPJ because they were 0.1% worse or 0.2% worse. That's how much he's closed the gap. Right now, there's no comparison. I don't know that I agree that is Lamar Jackson statistically having his best year better than the MVP season?
Well, you know what? It's tricky. I like what you said. If you watch the games, he hasn't needed to be Lamar Jackson of 3 years ago.
No.
Their run game has really come into their own. And I think because of that, Jay, they're a more difficult team to play.
It's not just him.
Right.
They have better talent. Now. Well, what's his name? Zay Flowers. He's a player.
He's a very good player.
Odell's not doing much, but
he's taking care of the football. His 9 touchdowns. That doesn't.
How many rushing touchdowns?
They played 9 games. I think he's got 5.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, he's not running like he was a few years ago. He's playing
got 400 yards.
It's
sneaky.
Watching them play, he's playing really, really well right now.
I felt like he was more dominant. The bottom line is, if he's not better than he was when he won the MVP, he's certainly right there, or even if he's a pinch below.
I just think he's
playing at a very high level.
He's a different player now. That he doesn't have to be Superman.
No, he doesn't have to do as much.
He's got pieces now, and I think what I really love about this team, more than anything else, is the balance that we're seeing from them. They can beat you really 3 ways. They can beat you with their running game. They can beat you with Lamar throwing the ball, or they can beat you with, I don't even put Lamar in with their running game because it's so different. Those are non-called running plays.
Sure.
So when offenses get in trouble, and you can certainly throw the Browns in this category, it's when they take sacks, when the pockets break down and they throw interceptions. With Baltimore and the way Lamar's playing right now, they're not doing that. He's extending plays. He's making plays.
Yeah.
The 9 touchdowns, you're right. It's not eye-popping.
No, none of his stats are eye-popping right now.
But the 3 interceptions is impressive.
That is because he's had turnover issues.
That's the key.
Especially the last 2 years. That's been a big problem for him. He's had a lot of bad turnovers the last 2 years. That's not happening. And he stayed healthy, which he hasn't the last 2 years.
Right.
So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But as of today, there's not even a discussion to be had. There's no argument for Deshaun Watson even being close to Lamar Jackson today.
They have the best record in the AFC.
Yeah.
Are they the team to beat in the AFC?
Well,
and I'll go, project out. So
they,
at the end of the year, is this 7-2 sustainable? And are they going to the Super Bowl?
I don't think they're going to. I wouldn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl because I don't trust them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But right now, they're the best team in football, I think. Certainly the best team in the AFC. They're playing much better than Kansas City. If I'm doing, I did in my AFC power rankings, for whatever that's worth, I don't even think there's a debate to Baltimore. They're tied with Kansas City at 7-2 in terms of record.
Right.
But they've played way better.
Kansas City now is getting it done with defense. We haven't seen that.
Yeah, their offense has been up and down.
Patrick Mahomes still their quarterback? That's still my pick to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he is, but he doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes.
I know, but it's still the Chiefs.
And at some point, you have to wonder, when does the lack of a quality wide receiver room come into play for this team? And I feel like we're starting to see the impacts of that.
I don't know. It's weird that their offense isn't good because they actually, this rookie, Rashee Rice, has played really well for them. He's developing into I don't think I've watched them enough. I've watched them some, but not enough. Even against Miami, they scored 21 in the first half. It looked like they were going to blow Miami out. And then they didn't score in the second half.
That was it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with them.
And 7 of those points came from the defense.
I think there's a lot of teams, a lot strong. I think there's a few teams that could win the Super Bowl in the AFC as of right now. The Ravens, even though they're the best team today, they wouldn't be my first choice to come out of the
It's
AFC.
interesting you say that because one of the questions that we always asked about Lamar Jackson was, is this sustainable? And can it work in the playoffs?
Yeah.
And the answer really on the sustainability part is to be determined. But the playoff part, I think it's pretty clear. it really hasn't worked in the playoffs.
I mean, to this point, no.
At this point, it
doesn't
hasn't
mean
worked.
it won't ever.
No, you're right.
Right? John Elway, I know he plays a different game, but John Elway didn't win any Super Bowls till later in his career, right?
Sure.
So
after going to 3.
exactly. So we'll now he's won one playoff game, but same as Watson. I mean, he's only won one playoff game too. So, but he's had no talent around him, and Baltimore lost their number 1 back too, by the way.
I know. And
But their other backs are good.
They filled in just fine.
Yeah.
Where the Browns have not.
And yeah, I mean, Lamar, you got to give him a lot of credit. He is playing really great football right now.
We said yesterday, and I'll ask you today, we were talking about Deshaun Watson and the fact that the fan base seems to be, G was saying that he thinks the fan base is overly negative. Nobody else on the panel really agreed with that. But the one thing that we talked about with this whole thing is, I had brought up the point, look, the question was, does he have to win a Super Bowl for the fan base to fall in love with him? And short of doing that, you got to beat Baltimore. You got to beat Pittsburgh. You can't win this division without beating Baltimore and Pittsburgh. It's impossible. It can't happen. So you can't win the Super Bowl Sunday, but games like this is why he is here. It's why the Browns gave him $230. It's why they gave up 3 first-round draft picks.
That's right.
You want to win fans over? Beat Baltimore.
It felt like in past home games, to G's point, people were just ready to boo. They just wanted to boo him.
Well, in the first half, he was giving them reason to boo.
Yeah, and not even just last week. Just throughout. Zach Jackson and I have talked about that in the press box multiple times, that they're just waiting to boo.
So it's a powder keg.
But we've talked about it before. I think people are in their divided camps. It feels like Baker all over again, where you either love the guy or you hate the guy. And I don't think there's any changing that. Like, there's no coming back from that. Just because of all the off-field stuff and everything that he's been through. I don't know it's the entire fan base, but there's certainly percentages on each side.
But, the frustrating thing about all of this, right, and I'm clearly someone who was in the anti-Baker camp, but if you're actually listening to what I've said over the years, there were plenty of times, I'm sure, same thing with you, gave Baker credit when he played well. Yeah. I didn't just, because I thought Baker wasn't that good, I didn't just say he sucked even when he played well. You're going to give a guy credit when he plays well. Baker's playing decent football this year.
To that
I give him credit, fine. The point is, like, this idea right now, it really pisses me off that half our fan base, if you say anything bad about Watson, you're the worst, you're terrible, you're not giving him any credit. He doesn't deserve much credit right now. On the other hand, you got to be fair if you're a Watson hater, that he gave you reason for optimism, if nothing else, in the second half of that game. I don't know that it's going to turn into anything else. He might play like crap against Baltimore. Yeah. But between Tennessee and the second half of this last game, there's some optimism. But again, he was doing it against the worst team in football. So I want to see it against Baltimore. I want to see it against Pittsburgh. He goes out and balls out the next 2 weeks and the Browns win, there'll be a lot of people jumping on his bandwagon.
He has to play better. He has to play better Sunday than he did in the second half against Arizona.
Yes, he does.
I think Ty was pointing this out. If you go back and look at some of those throws that he made that we think were good throws, they're getting picked against Baltimore. He threw one into triple coverage. That's going the other way. If he tries to make that throw,
that's the difference
Sunday.
between Arizona and Baltimore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So he has to be even better.
Interesting I was reading some stats that caught my eye yesterday. The Browns, when they play man, and they're a heavy man defense, forced the lowest QBR in the NFL. But the Ravens are number 2. And that scared me because what he can't do is turn the ball over. It's really that elementary. You turn the ball over, you give a team a short field, you cut your chances of winning that game significantly. And because the Baltimore defense has been so good, almost as good as Cleveland, when they're playing man, that gives me reason for pause. Now, I'm not predicting that he can't go out up there and do big things, but I'm a little nervous about it because this, like you said, this is not Arizona's defense.
Well, we talked about it on Monday. And Baltimore is the type of defense who can do it. Amari Cooper's double covered every play. Every snap
play.
he's on the field, you bracket him with 2 defenders. And now what are you going to do if you're the Browns? Where are you going to go from there? And so we talk about who else can emerge and who else can fill a role on this team. Elijah Moore has to come through. Like, he just has to come through. He's shown nothing to this point. There's going to come a point where someone like Elijah Moore or Tillman or somebody else is going to have to emerge and win a game for them.
What was stunning to us, Jason, when you and I were here Monday, was that when I was stunning to me, I don't know if it was stunning to you, when Mike said that Cedric Tillman played 75% of the snaps.
It didn't feel like it.
He didn't see him on
Monday.
No. He was invisible.
Yeah. He caught that 1 3-yard pass at the end of the game, and that was I don't even know how many targets did he have? Was that his only target?
His only target, correct.
I mean, that's crazy. You're a wide receiver on the field 75% of the plays, and you have one target?
Jay, how are they missing this badly on wide receivers in the draft?
It feels like a blind spot at this point, doesn't it? Like it feels,
really does.
Especially with mid-round picks. And with mid-round picks, a lot of times it's right around now, and when it takes him the first few weeks, a couple months to get onto the field, and like he's not a first-round pick. There's a reason he wasn't a first-round pick. But I guess the thing that I'm disappointed is, and we've talked about it before, it's not like he forced DPJ off the roster. It's not like he was so good that they had to create a spot for him. It was simply a business move with DPJ. They knew he wasn't coming back. I mean, he was the best of all of the mid to late receivers that they've taken.
Yes.
And they've already
The
moved
most
on.
He
from
was
him.
late. He was a sixth.
Yeah.
You look at the threes that they missed. Did I see Anthony Schwartz got picked up by
He
someone?
did. Miami.
Yeah.
They need more
thought he-
speed.
I thought
No,
it
he didn't
worked
get
out.
picked up. He
They're
had a
working
practice
him out.
tryout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That's interesting to me because he fits their mold.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
He could fly.
I mean, what are they? They're building a 4x1 team that could beat
right.
most Olympic countries. It's insane the speed
Yeah.
that they're collecting down there.
But unless he learns how to catch, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, receiver is part of the title.
Yeah.
You know, you had one job.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, you certainly didn't do it here. All right, so we agree there's pretty wide gap between Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson right now. He could at least make some moves to sort of
He
close
could
that.
still come out and throw for 280 on Sunday. Would that really surprise anyone?
No,
if he throws for
it would
280
not.
and 3 touchdowns?
No, I don't
Would
think
you be
it would.
surprised? I wouldn't be surprised.
Can they go score for score, though, with Baltimore?
Depends on the defense. If
Yeah.
the defense turns them over and gives them a short field, yeah. But again, this Browns offense is not built for coming from behind. If they fall down 2 scores early, that's. Although we said the same thing at San Francisco and they came back.
Yeah.
San Francisco was 10-0, wasn't it? And I remember thinking, well, that's that.
I mean, by the way,
Yeah, they're not
they
built
came
to
back.
come
Seattle,
behind.
Seattle was the same way.
Seattle
By
was
the way,
same.
have you seen a more misleading stat than where the Browns are ranked in rushing yards?
Well, I mean, it's because Nick Chubb, they were number 1 when they had Chubb.
Well,
I mean, it's only
that's
a
part of
game
it.
and
It's
a
also
half.
because, contrary to popular belief, they run the ball a lot.
Sure.
And so, like last week, they ran the ball like, what?
40 times.
40 times?
Something like that.
They were only averaging like 3 yards a carry. But
I don't even think it was 3 yards.
He
a
stuck
carry.
with it. But their running game is not very good, the Browns.
No, it is not.
It's not very good.
And I think we're going to talk about this later on, so I don't want to get into it too much. But I'm just scratching my head saying, where do you even go? Like, who's your horse?
You don't have one right now.
They do not have their horse. And I don't know how a team can make a playoff run if you don't know who you got to have a running back.
I don't agree with that.
I know you don't. You think that this is a passing
well,
league, but I think you still have to have a
But
running back.
if Deshaun Watson plays up to expectations, you don't need a running back.
Yeah,
if
well, that's a
Deshaun
big if
Watson,
right now.
if our goal for Deshaun Watson is going to be just don't turn it over, well, yeah, then you need a running back.
By the way, I keep hearing that talk, though. I
Yeah.
mean, it is important, but he's got to do more than just not turn it over.
Yeah, that's not why the Browns brought him here, is to just not turn it over.
No, he needs
They
to
brought
do
him in
much
here to be
more.
a star.
Yeah, we talked the first time. I always get this feeling when I watch the Ravens. When they showed John Harbaugh on the sidelines, I'm like, now there's an adult. There is a coach that I could have confidence in. He just feels like he's out coaching every team he plays against. I'm sure he doesn't, but that part of this equation scares me too. Just because Harbaugh always figures out what the weakness is and how to attack it. You mentioned they're going to double Amari on every
should.
single play.
I don't know how they
You know why?
wouldn't.
When you look at that graphic that we keep showing about wide receivers and their yards on the season, 270 yards is the second leading receiver on this offense through 8 games. Guys,
That's pitiful.
that's 30 yards a game.
Yeah.
I don't
Again,
even know how they're
but
5 and 3.
but it goes-
Again, a lot of that is the quarterback play. That definitely factors in. The quarterback play's been awful overall.
Yeah, and it goes back. I wrote about it after the game on Sunday. What is the staple of this Browns offense right now? What's the identity of the offense?
They don't have one.
It's heavy sets, it's extra linemen, it's extra tight ends, it's screen passes, play action, and take a shot on third down. Like, that's it.
Well,
that's
screen
what it is
passes
right now.
has been the strength of their offense.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, and that's
they
I
gotta
mean,
stick
think about
with
that.
Yeah.
Think about that. The strength of the offense
And in
is
the long,
screen pass.
in the short term, that's fine, but long term, that can't be the offense.
It's not going to work.
You know, you didn't give up 3 first-round picks and pay a ton of. I know some people get uptight when you bring up the money, but I'm going to bring it up. You didn't give up 3 first-round picks and pay a ton of money
To throw
for a guy
screen
to throw screen
passes.
passes all day.
Well, it's okay for you to bring it up. I know that a lot of people do get angry when you bring up the money.
Oh, I don't care. I
But
mean, it's part of the equation.
That is the elephant in the room.
If Joe Burrow doesn't play well, I'm going to bring up his money.
And the
If
reason
Patrick Mahomes doesn't play well, I'm going to bring up his money.
The reason it's part of this,
Yeah.
let's just say it was 130 guaranteed. You've got options.
Yeah.
The 230 cements him in that position for 5 years. He can't do anything. So I think it's, and look, G's question yesterday, and I think his assertion was, why are you picking on Deshaun? That's what it felt like when he was here. I know you guys weren't here. If I'm wrong and mischaracterizing that, guys, step in. But didn't it feel like his assertion yesterday was everybody's being so mean to Deshaun? He said the chat room comments, Twitter. He watched the postgame show on one of the local stations here, and he said everybody was being mean.
I just don't think you can worry about that stuff anyway. But,
no, I know, but part of that is, it's just like an A-Rod signed the big contract he signed with Texas.
there are expectations.
You put a bullseye on your back.
That's right.
And,
that's part of getting the money is you got to play at a high level.
That's it.
That's it. There's pressure to succeed.
So, I mean, don't apologize for leaving that.
No, and he's not going to get any benefit of the doubt because of the off-the-field stuff. Whether you like it or not, the benefit of the doubt goes away.
And I mentioned that
and he has not played well.
No, he has
That's
not.
it.
Let me ask you guys this. Deshaun is an ultra-competitive guy. We heard David say that yesterday, even going back to his days at Clemson.
Yes.
This is, I think, the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, in week one, I guess you could say Burrow in that category, but this is the first time where Deshaun going up against the quarterback where they both feel good. Joe Burrow was dealing with the ankle or the calf injury in week one, where he has a chance to kind of go, I don't want to say mano-a-mano because obviously quarterbacks don't go against each other, but this is a chance for him to kind of plant the flag and say, all right, Lamar, I know you're in the MVP conversation. I'm going to get back there too. Do you guys still believe Deshaun has that alpha mentality in there to step his game up to go against some of the best quarterbacks?
I mean, I think it's fair. The fact that we're asking the question is disturbing.
It is disturbing,
Yes.
but I'll tell you this. If you just go by
it a fair
body
question?
language, you said the alpha dog. Well, he's got to be supremely confident. One of the things I can say he is not definitively is extremely confident.
I thought he showed some confidence in the second half. I thought the cockiness was there, and I want to see that because I think that's been missing.
Yeah, but boy, when he's playing poorly, he looks like someone stole his puppy.
No, that's true. But I thought the second half he played decently. Let's not get carried away. Played decently, and but I think it's still in there. But I'm questioning it. Sure, it's fair to question whether it's still in there.
I think it's a good question. It's certainly fair. But you know what?
But he has a chance.
You go out and you beat Lamar Jackson
and play
34-10.
Yeah.
And you put up 3 touchdowns and 300 yards and you run for one. All of a sudden, because
that's right.
It's your mantra. It's a week-to-week league.
That's right.
You want to change minds?
Oh yeah.
Go do that.
Nobody's going to be like anybody. If he plays a great game and kicks ass and they win, anybody criticizing him next week's going to sound like an idiot.
Everyone will declare he's back.
Yes.
If he
100%.
throws for 303 touchdowns,
yes.
everyone will say, okay.
And then we'll be expecting
will.
that the rest of the year.
But I got an email yesterday on my Channel 3, which made me laugh. They watched the show and they were commenting on the show and they'd watched it later in the day. And the commenter said, you said he was brought here to win games like this. If he doesn't win, it doesn't mean that he can never be that guy. I never said that.
Right.
What my point was, these are games that this is why he's here.
Yeah.
You got to play well in these games. So and it also was excuse making before the game.
That's right.
He was saying, well, if he doesn't play well, it doesn't mean that he can't be a great quarterback again.
And that's true, but the more games you go like this where you don't play well, the less likely it seems you will become that guy.
The more that cement dries.
Right. It's not over if he doesn't. And listen,
and I also don't think if he goes out there and balls out that now we can proclaim he's back.
I think people will, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the case. But your confidence is going to ebb and flow based on every game.
You can't get there without playing well in this game.
But I also think it's really important to keep, regardless of what the numbers look like on Sunday, and we say it all the time, if you're on the field, you got to perform.
Yeah.
He is not 100%. He is not going to be 100%. So he could be like this all year. It could look like an EKG for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean he's going to be a bust for the next 3 years. It means he's
where
playing
is the shoulder, though?
Terms of
it's as good as it can be.
He made throws that made me say, that's a healthy arm. Then he made other throws that made me say, what is he doing?
And that's why I think
what
it's going
Bernie
to be
told
like
us,
that all
though.
year.
Yeah,
Bernie talked
said
about
that's
that
exactly what's gonna
sudden
happen.
twitch in the muscle when you go to release the football. Like, if that's the case, you're holding your breath the whole season.
I mean, he had I think probably 3 throws Sunday that were he just ripped them.
They were spectacular.
They were darts.
In windows.
Yeah.
Difficult throws to make. Some of them, outside the numbers, long throws.
So it's there. But can he get to it consistently when he needs it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if he can or not.
That's the big question.
We got to bring in Leroy Horde here, guys. And before we do that, I want to let the good people of the world know that tonight, Behind the Glass makes its return. 7 o'clock. I think we agreed on 7 o'clock. Yep, they're giving me the nod. 7 o'clock tonight. Myself, Anthony, and Earl will be talking all things Browns. Deshaun Watson's talking right now. So if he says anything interesting, we'll not only discuss it on the show, but we'll get a little more in-depth tonight on Behind the Glass. We'll talk a little Cavs and their West Coast road trip, which begins tonight. Some behind-the-scenes stories and much, much more. That is tonight, Behind the Glass at 7 o'clock. And with that, let's welcome in Leroy Horde, our resident running back. What's up, Leroy?
What's up? What's up?
How you doing, Leroy? Everything good?
I feel good, man. Watch the Browns game. You guys weren't kidding. He made a couple of throws. You were like, holy smokes.
Right.
This is why he's playing here. And then he had a couple of them. And the thing is that with a rotator cuff, right, there's 4 muscles. Don't know which one is injured. Don't know, there's some fluid in there or whatever. And one time you can lift your arm and it's great. And one time you can lift your arm and it's terrible.
Right.
And I can't, and you don't, like, I can't explain it. I know that, it's something you deal with, and the only thing that's going to fix it is about 3 months off. And he still may need to have it repaired. So I'm going to be patient with this, but it felt good to see him be able to rip the ball a few times, right? To where at least you got an idea that, one, the thing that I like seeing was he was making pretty good decisions. Whether he executed them or not was a different story, right? It was a good week to get back. He probably had a little more time than he would normally have. And I would hope that he can build on this. So, I'm excited. I'm glad to see that he's playing. When you see some of the throws that he makes, you see why the Browns did what they did. When you see other throws, you see why he sat out a couple of weeks. And I thought after watching him struggle with a couple of throws, I'm like, how in the hell did he even try to play after 1 week? Because it looked, you know what I mean? But, like, look how long it's been for him to be able to throw, like, maybe 15 balls. Or, like, really rip 15 balls. So, it's going to be a process. I do think that what helps is that you can still rely on that run game.
Can you?
Still got the defense, huh?
I don't agree with you at all, Leroy.
Yeah,
I think their run game is subpar.
I think it has – I think it has more to do with the circumstance in which they were running, right? It never seemed like, when I watched the game, it never seemed like they were committed to running the football, right? It almost seemed like that was a game we're going to try to get Deshaun Watson back in action.
But they ran it 40 times.
Yeah, okay. Like, you can still – look, you can do something a lot and it still don't look right.
Okay.
Right?
But you trust the backs they're
just,
using?
Yeah. Who's the horse?
No, here's who I trust. Here's who I trust. I trust that offensive line. That's where I'm going with that. Right? And so when I would lean on them, and what I would do is I think they're trying to run the football to everybody's skill set. And so it looks clunky when you try to take these little backs and run them way outside, right? I'm tired of seeing that. Like, you want to be a running back, you got to run in between the tackles. You can bounce it, but I'm not running sweeps with you. Like, it's running those sweeps with those running backs is too hit or miss, right? And here's what I can't afford. I can't afford 2nd and 14. I can deal with 2nd and 7. But I can't deal with 2nd and 14 because you ran a sweep and didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. And that's what it seems like they're doing. They're trying to use, Ford and try to get him outside and use his speed. Don't put players, especially a running back, don't try to make a running back, don't determine where a running back runs. Just let him use his eyes, and if he gets there, fine. You got to just run to your strength, the strengths of your team, and let the running back make it happen. They're trying to put these running backs a lot of times and say, oh, he's a fast guy. We're going to run sweeps with him and counters and stuff like that. Nope. I want all the running backs doing the same stuff. It's just going to look different because they all have different skill sets.
Who's the horse of this group?
I don't know if you're going to have I don't know if you're ever going to have a horse like, Nick Chubb. I don't think. I
know what you mean. Clearly,
if I had to, I would say.
I'm just wondering who are you
Jerome
leaning
Ford
on when you need the 3 or 4 yards? Who is that guy?
Well, when you need 3 or 4 yards, it's got to be Kareem.
I think so too.
Because I think the other two guys get nervous and try to run around everybody. So yeah, that's what I think that is. But still, I think you have to. Even though they ran it a lot, did it ever seem like they were actually committed to it? It almost seemed like they were running it a lot because they didn't want to throw it a lot, right? So make it part of the game plan. Make a conscious effort to be physical up front. Make a conscious effort to get the run game going, and they'll be fine. Because, before a couple of weeks, they were running the ball really good with Nick Chubb out. And it's still not – and look, guess what? They're still top 5 running the football. So as much as you're unhappy with, the results the last couple of weeks and how they've been running the football, the overall season and the overall output that they've had running the football has been pretty good.
Yeah, but that's because of Nick Chubb and because they run it. I mean, their total rushing yards is high, but if you look at yards per carry, they stink without Chubb.
Listen. That's okay. If you can run the ball 40 times, you're dominating the line of scrimmage. Because look, it's very easy for a team to put you in a situation where you can't run the ball that much. You see what I mean? So, and you know who used to do this? Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher would say, I don't care if I got to run it 40 times for 100 yards. It's the 40 carries that the other team is allowing me to have.
Yeah, because you got to be moving the football. You got to have a lot of first downs in there to run it that many times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have to put it in the context that if you were able to run the ball 40 times and still win a football game, the yardage isn't as important as the carries.
Right,
the
but
time of possession.
But you'd admit, Leroy, it's a lot easier to do against the Arizona Cardinals than it will be against Baltimore and Pittsburgh.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I'm not going there at all.
Yeah.
But I will say this. If you play Baltimore and Baltimore lets you run it 40 times, they ain't got the ball. And you still control the line of scrimmage regardless of how many yards you have. Because you can't just run it 40 times. You have to have some type of production in order to get that many carries.
Right.
So while we're looking at yards per carry and we're looking at how many total yards or whatever, the 40 carries is the most important part. Because if you can run the ball 40 times, that means that you're controlling that line of scrimmage. You're controlling the time of possession.
Yeah, that's no 20 minutes.
That's fair.
That's 20 minutes
right.
worth of run, worth of game
exactly.
clock.
Yeah.
Exactly. See,
Hey,
I
Ray,
think
go ahead. I was going to say, what would be your plan? Like, obviously we know the Ravens are well coached. If they're smart, they're probably going to double team Amari Cooper the whole game. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know why teams haven't done that more because none of the other wide receivers have done much. And a lot of that's on the quarterback play, but still, like, what do you do if they're double teaming Amari Cooper all the time? Why? Well, first of all, explain to me why teams wouldn't do that all the time, knowing that the other wide receivers have been ineffective. Is there a reason teams wouldn't do that more often?
You know what I hate more than anything in football? What? Double teaming a receiver. Because he's still got 50 by 50 to run. How the hell are you going to guard him with two guys? You're wasting a guy. You can go man underneath and run around with him and then have a deep guy that's roaming the field. But if you come up and try to double one guy, all you got to do is run around on one of the guys. The other guy can't run on top of him. It's a wasted guy. And people don't realize that. Even when they used to, when I ran routes and got doubled, it was the dumbest thing in the world. I just look at one of them and run around on him. Where the other guy gonna go? He don't know where I'm going.
It's interesting.
So
point.
it's dumb. Why don't they? They don't have to. Amari Cooper can still get open against double coverage. You ever see guys get doubled? They're always chasing. Oh, he threw it in double coverage. That other guy ain't in the play. It's a wasted defender.
So how would you defend him then? How do you defend Amari then, when he's the only weapon?
How would I defend him?
Yeah.
I'd play zone. I would never play a man, right? And I'd always play zone. If you want to play man, you can play man underneath and then have, two deep safeties or whatever to kind of roam the field if he should try to go deep. But the problem with Amari is not only is he a great route runner, right? But he can go up and high point the ball and catch the hell out of the football. And so you ever notice when he caught that ball down on the right side of the field, I think he came up a little bit short, right? You see those two Cardinals chasing him? He was doubled. And what good was that? There it is right there. Doubled. Yeah. So what? You can't, double coverage don't mean nothing. I see Randy Moss getting chased by three guys. That means he get to run away from three guys. It's a lot of times they do, they'll do man underneath, so they'll have somebody chase him around, then have a safety over the top, right? That would eliminate that play we just saw. But to have two guys chasing him, like, come on. So now you got two guys in the back instead of one. So I don't think doubling him is the answer. But here's what it's going to boil down to, in all honesty. Because I do think Baltimore is going to have a better game plan after seeing what Amari Cooper has done and think they're going to go into this game like I would and say, I'm going to make these other guys beat me. What are these other receivers going to do? And they're going to have to make a play. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's what football is. Everybody got stars on their team, right? Sometimes you can shut them down, sometimes you can't. But if you want to win football games, if they shut down your star players, somebody else got to make a play. You getting paid too. I know on your contract it don't say to be Amari's backup. They say to play professional football. So you got to go out and make plays. All these speed guys running around, getting open, make a play. That's football. And somebody else got to pick it up. It's like the run game. You don't have Nick Chubb? That is no excuse. The Browns have an excellent run game because of what they do up front. Somebody else got to be more productive. Simple as that.
Yeah.
We started the show
Nobody's
talking.
going to give you example. Nobody gave anybody excuse for being hurt, right?
Nope.
Oh, well,
No
somebody
pass.
else come in.
No
right,
pass.
no pass.
Leroy, we started the show by asking the question about the gap between Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson right now. Because once upon a time, they were in the same conversation. They were very similar players. We all agreed that there's a cavern right now between Lamar and Deshaun. We asked our viewers, and
You can't be surprised.
I'm not surprised because this is where it's a Cleveland sports show.
Wait,
But
you
come
can't ask
on.
a fan? You can't ask a fan?
Exactly, but we do these kind of things because we like to talk about it. But Lamar won our poll. It was basically Lamar or Deshaun. Who he got. And Lamar got 54% of the vote, and Deshaun got 46% of the vote.
Well, here's why you can't answer that question, Jay. One, you could pick Dan Marino. If he put on a Baltimore Ravens uniform, it's going to be close. Because people ain't going to vote for him because he played for Baltimore.
Yeah.
Simple
I
as
know,
that.
but it's just stunning to me. Like,
fans are petty.
That's
Petty. It has nothing to do with making. Now, here's what I was thinking.
To prove your point, Leroy, to prove your point. We all know what's going on. I'm so sick of hearing about it, and yet I'm going to bring it up. I can't. I don't want to see one more tweet about this stupid Michigan situation. Personally, I don't give a rat's ass about it. I know everybody's talking about it. I don't care. And all the Michigan fans are defending Michigan, and everybody else is killing them. You know damn well if the same thing had happened to Ohio State fans would be defending it, and Michigan fans would be killing them because all fans are hypocrites for their team.
Right, but here's what I would say. Here's all I said about this.
Yeah.
Right? Here's what I hate about all these things that go on in college football. And I call it the Pete Carroll syndrome. Right? They had some stuff going on at USC. Reggie Bush get his Heisman Trophy taken away. The head coach go make more money in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I would say is in situations like this, them kids ain't got nothing to do with this. Don't penalize them. Oh, yeah. But what you do is you take all that money and you give it to the rest of the Big Ten.
If they're found guilty.
Right.
So I didn't mean to go down that road.
No, I know, but I plan on asking Leroy his thoughts on this whole thing anyhow, just because I know Leroy is a proud Michigan guy, and we still don't have all the facts. Now,
right.
The way the wind is blowing, it feels like a storm is headed towards Ann Arbor. But what are your thoughts, just as an alum and as a proud former player, when you hear all of this? Because Deion said, so what? Even if you know what's coming, you still have to stop it. Where are you on all of this?
Here is the thing that I hate about this surrounding sports, right? We are all, the whole point of sport is me competing against the other guy, right?
Right, fairly.
I played my entire football career based on confrontations, right? Meaning that I know that I was going to face somebody that wasn't blocked or barely blocked or free. And that wasn't an excuse to get tackled. And I played my whole career based on that.
Right.
Now you're telling me that it's an advantage to know that I'm coming.
No, Leroy, that's not. It's an advantage to know whether you're passing or running. You know that.
No.
I disagree with that.
Listen, here, and this is the part of competition that bothers me. Just because you know what Randy Moss, hell, Jerry Rice ran slants for 15 years, and nobody still couldn't stop it.
I get that, Leroy, but in certain situations in the game, there's a reason they call a play in the huddle. And
if it didn't help, they wouldn't do it. It's just like the steroid guys.
If it didn't help to know what was coming, why did they go to such pains to do it? And I've talked to a lot of former NFL players about this and a lot of people that played in college but never NFL. And the vast majority of them said, just like in baseball, hell yeah, it's an advantage if I know you're throwing a fastball or a curveball. And in football, most of them said the same thing. Yes, you still have to stop it. And yes, you will have inherent advantages when you have superior players like the ones you mentioned, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice. But when all things are equal, if I know you're running or I know you're passing, you have to admit, you have an advantage when it comes to stopping that. That's half the battle. We know what you're going to do.
I mean, I guess. Like, I still, like, as we show the play with Amari Cooper getting doubled and him running by two guys, right? Like,
but just still, Leroy, you're going to put more guys in the box if you're running. You know that.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. I don't want, and look, and I'm gonna be honest about this, is that something's gonna happen. I would be more inclined to penalize the school and not the players.
Not the players.
What about the coaches?
You know what? Coaches can get that money back. Coaches can get those years back. A player cannot get college eligibility back.
Very true.
And so the kids that the people that end up paying more than anybody are the kids who are going to be gone in a couple of years anyway. That's what I'm. Unless you did something.
Unless you were involved in it. Yeah.
Correct.
But
Correct.
Leroy, I will say this. In the old days, the player didn't have an option because if he you're put on probation. Well, hell, if I transfer, I have to sit a year. That's not the case anymore.
That's true.
You want to leave Michigan? You want to go to Ohio State and play there next fall? You can do that now.
Right, but here's what I would say. Under no circumstance would I've gone to play for another school. Like, it's not, to some people, it's not that easy.
Well, loyalty
You know
isn't
what I
what it
mean?
was
Times have
when you
changed.
were
Yeah,
there.
loyalty's different. Your
I
breed
guess.
is dead, Leroy, and I agree with you. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
But today's players, my son's a track coach at Rutgers, and he said, Dad, the recruiting cycle never stops. In the old days,
Right.
you got a kid, you could relax, and now I want to make my team better. You're recruiting that kid every year. Through the year. Do something
Right.
that one of them doesn't like one time. Now you have to re-recruit the kid.
Right.
It's
I got
crazy.
you. I
Last
got
thing,
you. I got
Leroy.
you.
Last thing, having nothing to do with college. Your Miami Dolphins, they're a complete fraud. Are they not? Will you admit they're a fraud?
No. Why? Here's how I look at the Miami Dolphins. Right? The three teams that they've lost to have been consistent fighting for a championship for the last 3 or 4 years. You just got to the party. So you basically a grade 2 horse running a grade 1 race. You got to get there. All right? Stop treating Miami like they're equal with all those teams. They ain't there yet. They ain't got the experience yet. They got to go through, even the coach, the players, everybody has to go through that. So to sit here and say they're frauds because after 1 year of going 9-8, you expect them to be 14-3.
I didn't expect them to be 14-3.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But that's the way people make it sound like, oh, all of a sudden they supposed to compete with these teams.
Yeah.
Listen, they got some learning to do. They got some growing to do. Coaching staff, players, everybody. You don't learn from those situations unless you're in those situations. They'll get better at it. Okay?
They had the
may
worst.
not be this year. It may be next year. I don't know. But I do know you don't just wake up and end up being able to just compete with everybody. You got to go through some of these things.
Yeah, it's a progression.
Worst
for
strength
sure.
of victory in the entire NFL.
Well, they're 6-0 or
And-
0-6 against teams with winning records.
No,
and-
0-3.
Yeah,
And we've
0-3.
seen-
And they're 6-0 against teams with losing.
And, and guess what? Here's the thing that sucks about all this. We're doing strength of schedule now. Did you see what the strength of schedule was before the season started?
Sure, it's
when
gonna
some of
change.
these teams we thought were going to be good,
Yeah.
now they suck.
It always
Right.
changes.
So it always changes. They don't make the schedule.
Right.
So look, and the great thing about where the Browns are and the great thing where the Dolphins are, you got to play those teams. You gonna play Buffalo again. You got to play Dallas. You got to play Baltimore. So it's all in front of you.
Sure.
So at the end of this year, at this season, you beat 2 of those 3 teams, and you on a little bit of a run, the narrative will change. It's a long season. I'm not sitting here nitpicking, oh, you didn't beat the Super Bowl champs last year, and oh, you know what? Kansas City never looks flustered. You know why? Been there, done that.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right.
Very true.
You know what? You look at Philadelphia and look at their quarterback. Never phased. Been there, done that. Right? The only team of all those teams that look like they're going through some stuff and they always do this is Buffalo. You never can tell what they're doing. You can't. You don't know
Jekyll and
whether.
Hyde.
Right, exactly. You look at Baltimore. You can say what you want about Baltimore or Pittsburgh. Some kind of way they always gonna be in the hunt. That took years to build. You don't build that overnight. So you see a team that does well early on in the season, and then they lose to some good teams, and all of a sudden, oh, they're frauds, they're frauds. No, they're just not there yet. That's it.
And
That's it.
Leroy, to your point about Baltimore and Pittsburgh, what's fascinating to me about both of those franchises is the fact that they've had roster turnover just like every other team in the NFL.
Yep.
But it's also culture, and the culture, like in Pittsburgh, that culture has been there since the 70s.
Yeah.
And there have been a few hiccups over the last 50 years, but for the
You know
most
what
part,
it is?
they defy the NFL's talent cycle, and so does
You know what I
Baltimore.
appreciate? You know what I appreciate what Pittsburgh does? They pick a guy, they make sure they pick the right guy, and then they sit back and let him do his
That's
thing.
exactly right.
And fans and everybody get all flustered, and we want him out, and the ownership says, kick rocks, that's our guy.
That
Well,
is
they don't have the
exactly right.
quarterback, so they're not going anywhere.
But that means something.
You're right. It does. It does. They picked. The key is they picked the right guy.
Not the quarterback,
You know,
though.
the
They
sign-
haven't
No.
done this
He's
time.
talking about the head coach. He's talking about the head.
Right.
Like you
You
get the
know
right
it's a
guy
sign
in the
of a-
building, and
Right.
Like, granted, they haven't had playoff success in the last decade or whatever.
I mean, that's
but-
got to mean something, no?
I know, but see, there's a downside to staying on the top side of the talent cycle. You're supposed to flush, and because you don't, and this happened in New England, because you're always mediocre or making the playoffs, you're not getting those early picks in the draft, and that you're supposed to. It's supposed to be an
Right,
evolution.
but I can't blame fans for being a little frustrated that they haven't won a playoff
I
game
don't
in
blame them
forever.
either.
Yeah.
But you know what? When I look at them, I laugh. I go, yeah, you've been there.
Right, but the more you win, the higher your expectations go as a fan.
Sure, exactly. But you know what? If I have to
Yeah, but
compare
you still
their
gotta-
life
here.
to mine as a fan,
Yeah.
give me theirs.
Yeah, sure.
Give me theirs.
Here's
Leroy,
the problem. We're so impatient that we don't realize that it doesn't get turned around overnight, and you need some kind of consistency in the building. If you start changing things and firing coaches and getting rid of quarterbacks and doing this and this and this, you go into a cycle like the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, you're starting over often. Let's do a lightning round, Leroy, because
Sure.
we only got a minute here.
Okay.
You never really answered. We sort of got sidetracked with the Michigan stuff. Deshaun Watson or Lamar Jackson? Give me 30 seconds on that.
I would say Lamar Jackson is much farther ahead of Deshaun Watson for this reason. Lamar Jackson has evolved as a quarterback. He came into the league as an athlete. He now throws the ball extremely well, right? He makes plays with his arm and his feet. That is a unique thing to have and to come into the league and progress and get to that point. Deshaun Watson, he hasn't played in a while. We don't know where he is. Can he put 3 or 4? I want to see him play 3 or 4 or 5 weeks in a row so he can get it going.
Absolutely. Okay, now this one, we'll go back to the Michigan thing because we're running out of time. Give me 3 adjectives for how you feel as an alum about what's going on in Michigan right now.
Confused, disappointed, and worried. I'm worried for the kids because they don't get, the length of a career that the coaches get. The only people that are going to get punished in this in the end are the kids, where they have to go somewhere else, whatever. And so if they didn't do anything, why are we penalizing them?
You mentioned Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh will be in the NFL next year. So whatever comes down,
I already
agree.
wait. I'll tell you where he's going to coach.
Detroit?
And I don't know
No,
nothing.
it's not going to Detroit.
Oakland
No, hell no. He's going to the Los Angeles Chargers.
or the Vegas?
What about the Bears?
He ain't going to Vegas. They ain't got no damn quarterback.
No, what about the Bears?
Hold on. If those 3 jobs come available, you go and get Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that's true.
You're right.
Yeah, no, there's no question which one is more favorable.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that might be an interesting fit, too. All right, Leroy, great stuff,
See you,
man.
Leroy.
Enjoy the game. We'll talk to
Thanks,
you next
guys.
week.
All righty.
Peace out. Yeah, or the Chargers, that would be a pretty
Yeah,
good
I
fit.
mean, you
I
got a good quarterback there.
Yeah, interesting. He went to a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, damn near won it.
Yeah.
You give him a guy like Justin Herbert, I agree. I
Yeah.
think this is just a fait accompli. He's
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
home
definitely
stretch of
He
his
almost left
Michigan
the last
career.
couple of years.
He did.
He almost left.
And
And I said I
that's
hate the
interesting.
topic, and then I brought it up.
Michigan offered a contract extension that would have made him the highest paid coach, and according to reports, they pulled that offer.
Yeah.
So this is headed
Yeah,
for
yeah.
divorce.
I think it's been
at
rickety.
warp speed.
It's been rickety for.
I don't
couple
think they
years.
should boot.
Yep.
I don't think they should be booted out of the college football playoff. By the way, I think if they beat Ohio State, they should play for the national championship.
Yeah, boy, you're in the minority. On
I
that.
know, but
Yeah,
I
you're in
think
the
so.
minority. Okay,
We're going to move on to the next topic. Before we do that, I got a read and a tweet to give you guys. That's going to be a topic tomorrow, potentially, because we don't have the final details. But first, FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook, and if you're looking to score early this NFL season, you better be using FanDuel and the FanDuel app, because right now, brand new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use with a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and much, much more. So visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL and an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. If you have a FanDuel ticket, a winning FanDuel ticket, make sure you send it to us on Twitter or email us so we can showcase it on the show. Guys, I'm going to read you a tweet real quick. This from Hayden Grove a second ago, and then we're going to talk Amari Cooper. We need some more clarity from what we see in practice before we make this a discussion. But Hayden Grove tweeted that James Hudson said he's going to be practicing at right tackle today, which could mean DeJuan Jones could be switching out to left tackle with Jed Wills out. Now, I don't want to get into this because we have to see if it happens in practice. There's no point discussing this till we know if it's actually going to happen or not. But that could be a big change on the offensive line.
That is fascinating if it does.
Well, we talked about it on the show yesterday, because one of the questions yesterday was, what kind of juggling are you doing on that offensive line now to make up for the absence of Jed Wills?
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But
well, we talked about it briefly, and it was really briefly dismissed because I hadn't heard this report. Maybe you did. I think G. Bush or someone brought up the fact that, because I had said, look, it seems like an easy fix would be DeJuan goes to left tackle, and you at least shore that position up. And somebody said that, well, Mary Kay had reported in the preseason that they had worked him at left tackle, and it was, quote, a disaster.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. He's comfortable at right tackle. I'm not messing with him.
Well, I do think they tried him at left tackle.
And it didn't go well.
Yeah, and again, go back to what we said all summer about DeJuan, and it was the maturity and all of that. Well, he's done a terrific job.
He's handled it well.
He's done a great job.
Well, I mess with it.
That's exactly
I'm not messing with it.
That's exactly
I'm leaving him
I don't
know.
know that you want to turn on the fire hose.
No.
Right
Especially
now on
if
him.
you've tried
but,
it. I was for it until I heard they tried it and it didn't look well.
Here's the
It didn't go
thing.
well.
But that tells you, I mean, again, as a fourth-round rookie who there was a lot of questions around him, he still leaped James Hudson like that. So that tells you the faith that they have in James Hudson, which isn't a lot. So what else are you going to do?
No,
You know,
it might be
the better of two terrible options.
exactly.
Yeah, but I think you're then weakening two positions.
That's what I said yesterday.
Yeah,
I said when
I
you
don't
do
like
that,
that.
you could be weakening two positions.
Right.
It's really, they're in a tough spot. There's
Yeah,
no
that's
other way to
tricky.
slice
All right,
this.
we'll discuss it more, obviously, if it happens.
By the way, we haven't mentioned it. I'm sure a lot of fans have already seen it. Carson Wentz to the Rams.
Yeah, that happened last night. I think.
Yeah, I saw it late last night.
Yeah.
All right, guys, here's a question I had for you guys, and I'm curious to see how you guys kind of came down to the conclusion whether or not you think this yes or think this no. But has Amari Cooper been a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL this season, based on the 10 weeks or 9 games, whatever number you want to use, this season alone, based on circumstances, quarterback, production, who's been available and who's not? Has Amari Cooper been a top 10 receiver in the NFL this season? Yes
No, I mean he's not far off, but no, I mean I don't know how we make him a top 10 receiver based on what. I mean, if you look at just raw stats of yards per game, he's not up there. If you look at touchdowns, he's not up there. If you look at PFF grades, he's not in the top 10. I know you got to factor, you want to factor in that he's playing with worse quarterbacks than some of these other guys. Okay, but I mean, do I have to now analyze every time I'm making a list of top 10 wide receivers who their quarterback is? I mean, if Amari Cooper was playing with a healthy Deshaun Watson all year, would his numbers be as good as any of those guys? I mean, maybe not. Certainly not the top 2. But I could say, well, Jamar Chase would have better numbers if Joe Burrow wasn't hurt early in the season. Or Keenan Allen would have better numbers if Justin Herbert didn't have a broken finger. Or DJ Moore would have better numbers if he didn't also play on a team with a crappy quarterback situation. Amari Cooper's a really good player. He's never been a top 10 receiver, and he's not a top 10 receiver now. That's no insult. He's really good. He's in that next group of 10.
I think
but he's
really
not top 10.
close.
He's much closer than he's been.
I think he's, top 12 maybe. One of the things that I point to when I would make this case is Jamar Chase barely has more receiving yards than he does. And there'd be no question is Jamar Chase a top 10.
Right.
Now, Jamar Chase is playing with much better wide receivers around him than Amari Cooper is. that can both hurt him and help him.
Right.
But I don't see him as a top 10.
Amari, I think, is top 5 in yards per catch. He's had a couple big time plays. I meant to look this up. I didn't.
Okay, so there's a stat where he's top 10.
Yeah,
I actually didn't look at
like,
that.
He's
yards
like
per
top
catch.
5
He
yards
is,
per
he's
catch.
tied for 4th in the NFL in yards per catch with 17.6.
That's impressive.
So, and is that his career high? I wonder. It has to be.
Gotta be.
Because
I'll tell
he's
you,
had
give me one sec, Jason. I got you.
Because when you think of Amari Cooper, at least I don't think of like home run threat. You know what I
No.
mean? I don't think a guy who's like big play going to break off a 60-yard reception. I think of a guy who's just consistent. He's going to move the chains. He's going to move the chains.
Right.
15, 12.
It is by
move the
far,
chains.
by the way, his
By
best.
far.
2.5 yards per average. or
I think it's
2.5
interesting
yards
that
more.
you said that. He's not a home run threat. He doesn't have top end speed.
Right.
But what he does, outside of the lack of speed, he does so well. Guys that cover him talk about his precision route running and what a great route runner and tactician he is. So I think he might be a top 10 route runner, but if in the total scheme of things, what he does extremely well is if you need 10, I feel really comfortable on 3rd and long.
He's gonna get you 10.
That he's going to get it.
Yeah.
Even 15.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you're looking for, we need a home run here, he's definitely not that guy.
Right.
I mean, in the end, we're arguing minutia. I think most of us would agree he's between 11 and 15.
I absolutely
So does
do
it
agree.
matter if he's the 8th best wide receiver or the 12th
What's
this
funny
year? It
is
doesn't really matter.
in catches, I think he's like 40-something. I looked it up this morning.
Well, he only has 35 catches.
I know.
Yeah.
But again, that's
a product of the quarterback
Absolutely.
situation.
That's
Yeah.
indicative of the quarterback and
Right.
who's throwing the ball. To where, I hear what you're saying, Bull, about if Burrow was healthy, Chase's numbers would be better.
Yeah.
But it's far different when you're talking about the quarterback play that those guys have gotten and the quarterback play that Amari
Give me an injured, give me an injured Burrow over
Yeah.
P.J. Walker 1,000 days out of
Agreed.
1,000.
My point though is, do I have to analyze every single player
Right,
and
sure.
their advantages
but,
and disadvantages?
But it's miles difference in the quarterback play that.
Well, not between
Amari's
them and the
had.
Bears.
No, but Amari's got what Amari's gotten and what Jamar's gotten and what Keenan Allen's gotten and what some of these other guys that we're trying to lump them in with.
Right.
I mean, it's not even close how bad the quarterback plays. Now, hopefully that's turning. You know, we saw in the second half last week against a really bad team. Hopefully that's starting to turn.
Bull, I think right now,
Yeah.
just my eye test, I don't think there's a quarterback in the league playing better than Joe Burrow.
No.
No. I mean,
Not
as
since
I was
he's gotten healthy.
I watched
Yeah.
him Sunday night, and all I could think of is, this guy, you can't stop this guy.
The last 2 weeks against the Niners and Bills, he's made one bad throw. The throw that Chase got hurt his back on. He underthrew that.
He did.
That deep throw.
talked
That's the
about-
only bad throw he's made in 2
But
weeks.
by and large,
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting better. He was already a great quarterback,
Yeah.
but to me, I've seen progression, and it's incredible. You talk about an Achilles or an ankle injury, and it was I was hoping maybe the rest of the league's figured him out. I was wildly wrong. I mean,
Well, you
it's
see his-
just the 1 or 2 steps that
Yeah.
he needs to make.
He uses his mobility now.
And
Now
it's just incredible. And what
And-
it strikes to me is
Yeah.
you don't have to be Lamar Jackson. You just have to be slippery enough and
Right.
slick enough. Tom Brady was very good at this, stepping up in the pocket,
Yeah.
a slide step here, moving there, knowing when to do it. He's playing, in my eyes, as well as he's played and better than anybody else in the league right
He's
now.
kind of like the Brady Montana to me because there's nothing. He's not physically imposing.
No.
He's not.
Well,
doing,
he's more athletic than those guys.
But he's not doing.
But he's not a great athlete.
And he's
an
not
elite
doing
athlete.
he's not making Mahomes wow plays
He's
and
not.
throws and everything, but he just wins.
His presence,
He just
too.
wins. He just makes big time
Damn.
throws and he wins. And we go back. We said a couple weeks ago. I'd take the Bengals to win the division. They're in last place right now.
I'll take them too.
Technically, they're in last place.
I know that everybody's favoring the Ravens. I still think it goes through
Well, they
Cincinnati.
play each other. So the
I know
Browns-
they do.
Thursday night.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah.
But right now I think the division goes through Cincinnati.
Yeah.
He is playing as well as I've seen him play in his pro career.
Yeah.
And it's stunning to me the difference in a couple of weeks as he's gotten healthy.
Right.
How much better he is.
Well, you know what a big part of that is? When he was hurt, they had to play from shotgun the entire game because it was hard for him to take a snap under center and run back.
Yeah.
So they weren't under center at all. Wow. And when another team now now they're mixing it up.
Yeah.
Against San Francisco, he was under center a lot. Last week against Buffalo, it was a little more of a mix. But anyway, this division is just, it's unbelievable.
Everybody's in the playoffs.
Unbelievable.
That's never happened, has it?
No, it's only been possible since 2020.
Oh, okay.
Because they only that's when they expanded to the seventh playoff.
Yeah.
We asked Monday, has the division ever finished with every team with a winning record? And I think the answer was no, right? Last year, the NFC East was 500.
500.
Washington was
finished
8-1.
Yeah.
But no division has ever finished with all 4 teams
I
over
think that's going to
500.
happen this year.
It sure looks like it's
Yeah,
going to. And the reason it hasn't happened is because you're playing each other so much.
Right. You would typically cannibalize each other. And
You usually do.
I don't know if you guys mentioned the stat yesterday. I mentioned it on Monday, but you weren't here, Jay. The AFC North in non-divisional games are 17-6.
Wow.
The next best record is the NFC East at 14-11. No other division is more than a game over 500.
To
and
me,
they're 17-6, and 3 of those losses are the Steelers.
that is the stat that cements this argument that we're in the
there's-
toughest division.
Yeah, there is no argument really.
My goodness,
Yeah.
17-6. Now,
17-6.
I think it will regress back to a norm.
Yeah,
I
well-
don't think they're going to continue at that rate.
Well, this week you got who's Pittsburgh playing?
I'm not sure.
Pittsburgh plays Green Bay.
Pittsburgh plays Green
so
Bay, and the
they're out of the
Bengals
division.
play Houston. That should be an interesting game.
Okay.
But
I don't think it will be interesting, but I think the Bengals will rout Houston.
Well, Houston's defense is terrible, but obviously C.J. Stroud, my God.
Guy's amazing.
This may be,
Guy is
Baker,
amazing.
I'll give him his credit, had one of the better rookie seasons we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But C.J. Stroud may, if he stays healthy, may end up having the best rookie season we've ever seen from a quarterback.
I don't know
or
that
one of the best.
If he's had a coming of age moment, it was
Yeah.
that last drive, 46
I mean, that
seconds. They
was-
got to go.
yeah.
He made precision throws. I think they only needed 3 or 4 plays to get there.
Well, they got some penalties.
They did get a penalty.
Yeah.
Precision throws to throw into the end zone. It was just like, who am I watching here? There's no way this guy's a rookie.
And you've seen him raise the talent of the guys. Like Nico Collins has been just a guy in the NFL.
Not now.
Nico Collins having a good season. He's
having a
10th in the
great
league in
season.
receiving.
Yeah, it's
And
fun to watch.
Yeah.
For me, being an Ohio State fan,
Yeah.
and seeing one quarterback after another, going back 20 years,
Yeah.
having Heisman candidate seasons,
40 years.
and then you go into the NFL and you just are awful.
Yep.
And think about this. They got no defense, and they got no running game.
And they're doing it all on his
It's all
arm.
on his shoulder.
He's
And-
fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. Okay, McNuggets, you want to read?
Yeah, we got to read, and we're going to move on, but I do have some poll results for you guys. We asked the chat again if Amari Cooper's been a top 10 receiver this year, and this result is, I would say, kind of similar to what you guys said. We had 300 votes, 53% said top 10, 45 said between 10 and 20, and 0% said not even close to top 10. So
That would be stupid. Nah,
Little-
of course he's close.
a little closer than you guys had it, but we're going to talk a little about the running game here. If you have not already hit the like button and hit the subscribe
Let's go.
button to Ultimate Cleveland Sports
Yeah,
Show,
what
what
are
are
you
you waiting
waiting
for? It is absolutely free. It does wonders for us on the back end, and we cannot thank you enough for
Pause.
doing that. So please hit your like button, hit the subscribe button, tell your friends to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. On Saturday, guys, Ohio State plays Michigan State, and there's a post-game show on WKYC with Ted Ginn Jr. So make sure you guys check out the Ohio State-Michigan State post-game show. I think the line of the game is like 47 points or something.
Is it
absurd.
really that big?
This
No, I'm
can't-
making that
no.
up, but it's got to be at least 20
After
points.
setting the new record for a low in Vegas on a college football game line,
Yeah.
they've set another new record this week. Last
Yeah.
week, Iowa and Northwestern
Northwestern.
was 29.5.
This
And they
week,
were way
It
under,
went
right?
way under.
Yeah.
And this week, it's Rutgers and Iowa, and it's now 28.5.
28.5. Yep.
I actually
it is,
watched a little
And
bit
I'd
of
take
that.
the under.
I watched a little bit of that Northwestern Iowa game just because I
Why?
like to watch car crashes.
Or you
Ohio
like to-
State is a
you like to watch
31.5.
gas evaporate.
So it's Ohio State's a 31.5 point favorite.
31.5, yeah.
31.5 point favorite. So if you want to hear some
My
post-game
goodness.
analysis with Ted Ginn Jr. and Nick Camino, make sure you tune into WKYC.
have you seen Teddy
afterwards
on the
for that.
post-game shows?
He's very fun. And
We
he,
got to have Teddy in here.
He's been in. He came
We
in.
did. You weren't here.
I
You must not
wasn't
have been
here.
He
Yeah.
came in. He was awesome.
I laugh so hard because he's just being Teddy Ginn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I saw him, it was, I think, the Notre Dame game. He had the sunglasses on, and it was just so funny.
Didn't he
was-
wear the sunglasses
He
in
had
the
him. He
studio
sat
with
right
us?
next to Bull. Put the sunglasses
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was a lot of fun. We'll try to get Ted back
Yeah.
in here. That was.
So hang on.
That was fun.
The Ohio State spread is 31.
31.5.
And the over/under is 28 for Rutgers, Iowa. That's incredible.
That
all,
is pretty
all
funny.
in the same conference.
I wonder what that 2-game parlay would pay. take the
yeah.
under and Ohio State to cover. I wonder what that would bet.
It'd be pretty even.
You should be able to bet who will, well, actually, it was an easy bet.
Will they score more than Ohio State wins by?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Also, Jason will be sending members text messages during the Ravens-Browns game this weekend. So
Thanks for reminding me.
Exclusive
Slide in your
text. You got to
DMs.
become a member.
Slide in your
and
DMs.
the code to turn on your notifications
That
for
sounds
that
fun.
will be posted on our community tab. So if you want those exclusive texts from Jason, make sure you guys become a member.
And I'll talk to you during the game on Sunday, too. If you text me, I'll do my best to get back to you.
That is a promise from Jason. Guys, we mentioned this earlier in the show a tiny bit. But the Ravens' run defense is pretty good. The Browns' running attack ranks top 5 in the league in rushing yards per game. Do you think the Browns will be able to have sustained success on the ground versus Baltimore on Sunday? Yes or no?
I don't.
No, I don't either.
I don't have confidence in that.
I hear what Leroy was saying, but I don't know that I agree with him in terms of I don't think that they run the ball successfully. I just when you are barely getting 3 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry, that's not a good run game as far as I'm concerned. I don't think they have. You can do it by committee, but if you need 3rd and 4, who are you giving it to? I think you have to throw it in that. Do you not?
I think his answer was right, though. Like, I do think Kareem Hunt is the guy that – I know you say he's got 3 wheels, but he runs hard and he gets those hard yards.
I want to
in
address
short
this.
yardage situations.
Are you going to backpedal?
No, I'm not backpedaling at all.
Okay.
But like the whole everyone's like, oh, you think he's got 3 wheels? Yeah, because if he had 4 wheels, he'd be the feature back. And he'd be getting 20, 22 carries a game, and he'd be getting 85, 90 yards a game.
It just sounds so harsh. When I picture a cart going down the road with 3 wheels,
Change the wording.
It's scraping
Change the
and
wording.
there's sparks
I get
coming
what you're
out.
saying.
Here's the whole point I was trying to make.
Give him 3 tires and one that needs air. Can we
Here's
do
the
that?
The 4th one's a donut.
Yeah, he's got a donut. That's his new nickname.
The whole reason I said it in the first place was because everyone's like, oh my God, Kareem's back. I'm like, guys, this isn't the Kareem
It just
Hunt
sounded
that
so
you
harsh
remember.
when you said it.
But is it wrong? Am I wrong?
Well,
no.
I'll tell you this.
It's not wrong.
Who picked up the most important single yard in this season
did.
so far?
Kareem Hunt at the
And
goal
in
line.
those
No question.
situations,
Yes.
I mean, in 3rd and 4, you're going to throw the ball.
Yeah,
right?
3rd and
Especially
4.
with
I might be a
Watson.
little nervous on 3rd and 4, but
if it's 3rd and 1
or 2,
I want to give the ball to
Yeah,
Kareem.
he's
Okay,
the guy
good.
I
wanna give the
want
ball
in
to
short
Kareem.
yardage situations.
I agree
no
with
doubt.
that.
But my whole point was
But he's
like,
not a lead back anymore.
No,
No, and that's fair. That's fine.
That's the only
But
point I was
3
making
wheels,
was,
to me,
Yeah.
that brings the mental image of sparks coming off from the axle.
but that's kind of what he is.
No, because you
He's
can't.
gonna get you 1 or 2
A car
yards.
with 3 wheels is done. It's pulling off.
It'll get you. You can go 2 yards.
I should have said this. I should have said this when Leroy was here. But Leroy once said something, was once quoted as saying, and it's true,
Yeah, that's
and it
a great
applies
one.
to Kareem Hunt. If you need 1 yard, I'll get you 3 yards. If you need 6 yards, I'll get you 3 yards.
Yes.
That's Kareem Hunt.
That
right
is
now.
Kareem Hunt right
He's
now.
Kareem Hunt.
He's averaging 3.3 yards
That's
a
it.
carry. It's
and that's the
serviceable.
point
It's
I was
not
try-
great.
And
That's
that's
it.
the point I was trying to make. Like, he fills a role, yes, but when he came back, everyone was like, "Oh my God, this is
Yeah.
great, Kareem's
Yeah.
back." I'm like, guys, this isn't
He's
the
not
Kareem that
Kansas
you
City
remember.
rookie.
If he
Kareem
were that
Hunt.
good, he wouldn't have been on the free agent
That's
market.
exactly. And
Right.
if he were that good,
He has a role.
He would get 22 carries a game, and he'd have 85 yards, 90 yards, 100 yards a game. If he still was Kareem of old,
Right.
they would use him as such.
Right.
But
That's
I
the
think
only point I was making.
I think that again, I hate to keep beating a dead horse, but I'd really like to see Pierre Strong
I would
get
too.
more
I'm with you on
opportunity.
that. Yeah.
I think he's been better than Ford.
I've seen enough of Jerome Ford, and it's
Yeah.
disappointing to say
Yeah,
because
me
I
too.
really had high hopes.
I
for
had
him.
high hopes for him as well. I thought he was going to be a tremendous back. I want to see. I'm with you. I want to see what Pierre Strong can do when he is the
Yeah.
feature back for one game. Because what's he averaging? 10 yards a carry for his career?
Well, he was coming into this, but not anymore. But he's still. Even this year, he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. I mean, that's pretty good.
Listen, those numbers, they look like that. Those numbers right there look like the numbers for the Ohio State feature back in a Michigan game.
Right.
34 carries, 152 yards. I'll take those numbers. So if you can extrapolate those out and you can get 4.5, guys, if you get 4.5 yards a carry, you're moving the sticks all day long.
The way they divvied up the carries last week with Ford and Hunt,
Yeah.
I'd do the same thing except give Strong the
Ford carries.
The Ford carries, that's what I would do.
I'd
but
be all for
he
that.
doesn't seem to be inclined to do that.
I am not a running back pass blocking aficionado by any means. and I don't love PFF for certain things, but Pierre Strong grades out terribly in PFF possible.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. You have Kareem Hunt in those situations.
No, I know. I'm just trying to think out loud as to why he didn't get as many carries as maybe
Yeah, but
he
the
should.
carries come in situations where you don't need him to pass block.
I'm just throwing out an
No,
idea.
it's a valid
as a
point,
reason.
and it explains why he would be off the field on third down and passing situations. But on 1st and 10, if you're going to divvy out carries, let's give some to Pierre Strong and see what he can do.
Plus,
like to get more
how
carries
many
too, yeah.
how many times has he been out there pass blocking that we have enough of a sample size to know that he's not good at it?
Yeah, I
mean,
wonder
how
what
many
that
times
number
has he
is.
been asked to do it this year? 8? 10?
Yeah,
I
I'll
mean,
give you
it
the
can't be
exact
that
number once
much.
Yeah, I don't think it's very many either.
Yeah. And
And
plus,
look, the Browns see him every day in practice. Maybe that is a deficiency of his, and they know it. I don't know.
that's
But
true.
look,
They used him a lot against who was it?
Indianapolis?
Seattle.
Seattle.
He has 33. Yeah, these numbers are really bad. It's PFF. I don't do this, but he had a 26.6 pass block grade on 10 pass block attempts.
What's Kareem
against
Hunt's?
Seattle. I have to pull up another tab for that. Hold on.
Yeah.
They still
Well,
used
Kareem
him a
Hunt's
lot
good,
in that game.
Kareem Hunt's
though,
a good
Mike.
pass blocker, though.
You know what I go
he's-
back to with Pierre Strong? I don't know what Bill gave up on him early, and
Yeah.
I know that he's not the guru that he once was.
Yeah.
But when Bill gives up on a guy, it's either personal or it's some sort of defect that he just doesn't like in a player.
Maybe so, but at this point, you don't have many options. And we've seen a lot of Ford, and he just doesn't seem like he's the guy.
I've
So
seen it
why
all.
not give him a chance?
I got your answers, Jay, if you want to hear them. Real
Yeah,
quick.
what is it?
This season, in 33 pass blocking attempts for Pierre Strong, he has an overall 47.6 grade.
Okay, that's not great.
Kareem, and it goes, he had one game with the 75. Everything else has been Kareem
Yeah.
Hunt, on the other hand, 48 pass blocking opportunities according to PFF, a 67.5
Okay.
pass block grade.
So he's
And what
marginally
about
better.
Ford?
And Ford, I can pull that up for you right now, actually, because I opened 7 tabs here. Jerome Ford, according to PFF, has on the season 26 pass blocking attempts and a 59.3 grade.
So he's in between the two.
Yeah, I mean, that's great.
And look, all
but-
that does is that explains why you wouldn't have him on the field in 3rd and long.
Yeah.
If you're moving and if you're staying on schedule, 1st and 10,
Right.
2nd and 7, 3rd and 4, he doesn't have to come off the field.
Right, and if you're in an obvious passing down, then yeah, you take him off.
Right.
I guess, but you don't want to. Although you don't want to signal what you're doing to the defense, I guess. But still, it's worth the opportunity.
But to go back to the original
Yeah.
question of
Yeah.
how confident are you they can run the ball, I mean, if you're putting DeJuan Jones at left tackle and you're putting James, and again, let's wait and see if this happens.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
putting, I mean, DeJuan's weakness is running the ball.
Yeah, I know.
So if you put him, like, there's only, Mike, what was that thing that you came up with?
He's
a
much
couple
better
weeks
in
ago?
pass block
Well,
than-
no, not that. But there was like only 2 spots where you could run the ball effectively, and I think Jed was one of them, wasn't
Oh,
it?
yeah. Well, this was 2 weeks ago, so maybe it's changed. I have to look back into it. But
was
they had
Wyatt?
been most effective running the ball behind Wyatt Teller and Jed Wills at left tackle.
Wow.
So
Well, as much as we kicked his tires and beat him up, they're going to miss him.
that's what I said. Careful what you wish for.
And we'll
because-
see. I'm personally not that worried about it. I guess we'll see.
Well, if James Hudson is so bad that they have to take their right tackle, who they
yeah, that would
move
be
him to
concerning.
left.
That sounds like a mistake.
Like
but
it's
It is concerning. Boy, they can't catch a break.
I know.
It's so hard being a Browns fan because you just get punched with one fluky thing after another. I mean, if you put them all together, the Conklin thing, Nick Chubb,
Yep.
obviously Deshaun Watson
Yep.
in the shoulder, it's almost like, and Bull says all the time, every team gets injuries, you got to deal with them. I understand that. And I know over a long period of time, they tend to all equal out, but man,
You're
it just
talking about a
feels like
franchise pillar, your starting tackles, and your quarterback. Those are pretty big
Those
body
are
blows
massive
to come back from.
pieces.
This isn't a hamstring to a safety that we're talking about.
No.
Or even your best linebacker.
Right.
Like, these are
key pieces.
positions.
And what's crazy about all of this, of all the units, that if you go back 25 years, this Browns defense is by far the single most polished, accomplished unit that they've had. That's one of the cornerstones you need to win a championship.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting the planets to align where you have all of the pieces in your building at once is very difficult. But when you start losing key pieces to injury, it just feels like you take one step forward and you come 2 back.
And that's
I think if Deshaun Watson plays well, none of the other things matter much. I
He
really
can
don't.
hide
Well,
a lot. He can hide a lot of it.
Yeah.
But the tackle thing,
I mean, I
it's a
can't whine about
precursor to him playing well.
The Conklin
Is having
injury is
those
a non-factor. I mean, well, I shouldn't say it's a non-factor, but
It's
DeJuan
the
Jones.
trickle-down effect of the Conklin
Sure,
injury.
but
Yeah, you're
now.
moving parts now, and it becomes
Listen,
a shell game.
3 weeks ago we were talking about getting rid of Jed Wills because he wasn't good enough.
I know.
I can't call that a critical injury.
Nope,
I just can't. We'll see. If I'm proven wrong, can we see James Hudson play? I mean, he's barely played.
Bull, you know what
Yeah.
determines a critical injury is what you have coming on the backside of it.
I just.
And
I'm
I
not
don't
buying
like
it's
what
going to
we
be
have
that
on
big
the
a deal
back.
this week. If I'm wrong, I'll admit
when
it.
you were talking about moving on from Jed, it was to go find someone else
Better. Yes,
externally,
I hear ya.
Yeah.
not someone in the building, because there is nobody in the building who's any
No.
better than him.
Yeah,
No.
and
So-
people are going to compare, and it's not a fair comparison. Like Jed Wills has not had to play against the Ravens the last couple of weeks, or the Steelers the last couple of weeks, because he didn't play well against the Steelers and Ravens.
He did not.
He didn't play well in those.
That's
He
what we
was
were-
awful
that's
in
what we were
those.
beating
The
him
first
up.
2 games were awful.
No, the first 4 games were
No, I
awful.
thought it was the first 2.
No, it's the first 4.
Was it 4?
Do
Yeah.
you know
Since
that
the Baltimore
yesterday
game, Jed Wills
Tyvus
had been significantly better.
Yeah, and Tyvus sort of it was a hypothesis. He didn't have any inside information. I said, to me, it's almost like a guy finally got to his tipping point where he'd heard enough, because the criticism was coming from all corners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a deluge on Jed Wills. And I had speculated that maybe he just said, you know what, this is my family's name on the back of my jersey, and I'm embarrassing my teammates and my family. And he stood up and worked harder in film and worked harder in the weight room or whatever. Spent more time with Bill Callahan. I don't know. Tyvus said he thinks what happened was Bill Callahan quietly pulled him aside and said, look, this team can't get to where we want to go with you playing like that.
It could be.
So, I mean,
I
something
don't
happened.
know. I don't know. I mean, hey, you don't know what these guys are going through.
That's what Tyvus said.
Like in personal life, and again, I have no idea. I'm just saying.
I get it.
It carries over. You ever have a bad day and you take it into work?
Sure.
Like it happens. It happens with these guys too. He could have had an injury that no one really talked about. It could be a number of things. Because again, I kept saying, I think he's average. I think he's average. I think he's average. And the first month, he was horrible. And I said, I'm breaking up with you. It's not me. It's you. But since then, he's average.
Yeah.
Like he's back to just being average. He's not
Which,
elite.
you know what?
He's
After
not
living
elite.
with the
He's not
subpar,
terrible.
we'll take it.
Yeah.
By the way, is it a coincidence that, who knows if it's true or not, but there were a lot of rumors last year that Denzel Ward was going through something in his personal life.
It looked like
and
it.
he had his worst year last year.
It looked
and
like
this
it.
year, he's having his best year.
Yeah. It looked like he was just
You
in a
know.
bad place last year, and he's a different guy. Now, maybe you can attribute that to the Jim Schwartz defense, and it's more
Yeah.
suiting to what he does. Who knows? But I agree with you. I just
Yeah.
didn't recognize Denzel Ward. We've seen enough of him to know who he is.
Yeah.
Last year didn't look like any other year that he's ever
Nope.
played football. So it seems like there was something there.
We're
Mike,
going to go on to a bit of a new topic and a new game. It's not even a game, but more of a, yeah, I guess it's be a game, a guessing game. But tonight, 7 o'clock, behind the glass, myself, Earl, Anthony, chiming in on anything that the Browns players have said during today's open locker rooms. Nothing seemed to jump off the page. We'll have a little more information on DeJuan Jones potentially moving over to left tackle. We're talking some Cavs, some behind-the-scenes stories, and much, much more. So make sure you guys tune in at 7 o'clock tonight for the next episode of Behind the Glass. And hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Do us a favor. It helps us out a lot. Way more than you can imagine on the back end of YouTube's algorithm. So help us out. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends to do the same. And we appreciate you guys very, very much. All right, so we're at the halfway point, essentially. Okay, let me go back a step. I hate the fact that there's 17 games.
yeah, I
because there's
know.
not
You're
an
never.
actual halfway
You're not at the
point.
halfway point till you're at halftime of your 9th game.
Right.
It's very obnoxious. It is
Stupid.
very obnoxious. And that, as someone who likes very even numbers, to be able to duplicate.
We're going to 18 soon. It's inevitable.
And then we'll be back, and then I'll be happy again.
Yeah.
You know, 18's too many games. But whatever, 17, odd number. It annoys me that half the teams have already played 9 games, half have played 8. It's not equal. Whatever. Rant over. Here's what I did. I essentially looked at a bunch of Browns. We have 13 of these, 6 on offense, 7 on defense, and picked a couple stats and tried to project where I think this player will end the season at in either a stat or a couple of stats. So you guys have your faces in front of you. If you think the player that I name will finish with stats better than the ones you're about to see on the screen, give me a happy face. If you think it's worse, give me the sad face. And for a couple of these, there's 2 or 3 stats on there. So
Yeah.
give me a general.
Yeah.
Give me an overall.
Well, most of the
general if you think it's
offensive
better.
players can't be much worse.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
So let's start with Deshaun Watson. I think
Yeah.
by the end of 2023, How about 2,850 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions?
Where is he right now?
He has 900 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
So you think he's going to throw 12 touchdowns in 9 games?
Yeah,
Don't
no.
that's not crazy by any means.
I'm just
No.
I'm just saying the stats out loud.
Okay. Yes.
And then you think he's going to throw for about 2,000 yards in 9 games?
Yep. Give or take.
He's played how many games?
5 games.
So the question is, it's a happy face if we think he's going to reach this?
You think he'll reach that or do better, and a sad face if you do not think he will
Yeah,
reach.
you know what?
I think
do.
that's very.
I'm going to be
I
positive
do. That's
about it.
attainable.
If he's
Yeah.
if he's healthy, if he stays on the field, I think he'll get there.
Yeah.
If he-
That's an assumption for all of these guys.
Right, but
You
him
got to assume-
especially. But with
him,
where he's at, it's a
right.
valid
But I
concern.
think that's attainable. Look, that's not a runaway
it's 200
season.
yards and a
that's
touchdown.
not great.
No.
That's solid.
It's 200 yards
That's
ish.
it. It's
And at this
okay.
point, I would
don't
take
even know
that
if
for
it's
the rest
solid.
of
It's
the year.
okay.
What is that, Mike? Like 210, 215 a game?
It's 215 a game and 12 touchdowns in 9
Is that even
games.
4,000? Does that come out to 4,000 yards in a season?
No.
Or just below
You
that?
got to throw more than 215 a game.
Probably, yeah,
to do
right.
that.
Yeah.
10 games
No, it's
would give you
3,600
2150.
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that, going into the season, if I would have said that Deshaun Watson got 3,600 yards, you'd be like, oh, that sucks.
I know you would.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But based on where he is now, this would be.
I mean, the gold standard is 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's the. Right.
It's the
Not-
gold standard.
Yeah, yeah.
I
that's
mean,
the
if
gold
you have
standard,
5,000
yes.
yards, you're going to a Pro Bowl and you're making a deep
But
playoff run in
if
most
he
cases.
would have thrown for 4,600 this year, we would have all loved it.
Backflip.
Yeah.
Backflip.
But
Now,
this is.
G had him throwing for 11,000 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
But
But we all give the
take
positive
that.
face. Yeah.
I'm good with that.
think
I
you do
tried
that.
to make these as reasonable as I could.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I wanted to give people a legitimate expectation
Yeah.
that's not too far out.
Sure.
Like,
We
if you
think
a player
we
really-
all think he can do it. We all
Yeah.
think he can do it.
If he's healthy, if he's second half of Arizona, and then a little better, if at minimum a little better throughout, he should eclipse those easily.
Those are very
Help.
average numbers.
They
in the
are.
NFL.
They're not going to.
Extremely
They're not going to win
average.
you any awards. That's for sure.
And I will tell you this: I did consider injury factor a little more with Deshaun because I don't think the shoulder will ever be 100% the rest of the season.
Right.
Than I did with the other guys.
Okay.
So next up, Jerome Ford. He currently has 425 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on the season. I put this low because I think he's
That's
gonna lose,
very low.
because I think he's going to lose some carries.
I do
kind of
too.
allude
Yeah.
to Pierre Strong and Kareem Hunt.
I mean, but-
having more so 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's essentially double his production from right now to the end of the season.
no, it's
even though they
not.
have
How
one
many
more
yards
game.
does he have right now?
425.
Yeah, he has to get 375 yards. That's
It's
it.
essentially double, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got more than half the season to play.
And he
But,
missed the first
but you're thinking
2
he's going to
games.
have as many carries as he would. I put this low because I think he's going to lose some carries.
Okay, I think that's
Yeah,
very low and very
It
attainable.
is low. It is attainable. If he keeps his carry pace, then he will get there. I agree with Mike. I think that whether it's Strong, whether it's Kenyon Drake, the veteran who they brought in here, I think if he's not productive, which he hasn't been, they're eventually going to have to give out other guys more of a lead back
You know
role.
what, though? I mean, he has shown moments. He's had flashes, long runs.
Two runs, one against Pittsburgh and one against Indy, right? Was it Indy?
And I don't know anybody else on
Yeah.
this team that's going to give you that
but I don't know that you can afford to give him 22 carries a game
to try to hit one home
to
run.
try and get 1 home run every 3 weeks.
I don't know if you can either, but if he does that,
What's his yards per carry on the season, Mike, including those?
He averages 4 yards per carry on the season. If
Which
you
is
take those 2 carries out, which were both 69-yard rushes,
right?
he has 105 carries this season for 287
Oh,
yards.
That's awful.
That is
That's
a
less
But
than 4
again,
yards a carry.
again,
Yeah, but
you know,
yards per
you're
carry
asking
average.
Mrs. Lincoln how she liked to play outside the gunshot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't take out their biggest plays.
Oh, fair.
It's not.
It's fair. I'm just.
Yeah.
No, it's a good point. It's
Yeah.
worth noting, but
We're going to talk about Jerome Ford in our 5 facts.
and I'm being optimistic. I mean, they both better hit those numbers.
Oh yeah.
Or they're not going to the playoffs.
Especially Watson.
I mean, I'd like Watson to
Especially
have better
Watson.
numbers than
because
that.
those numbers for Watson are remedial. I mean, those are. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean the Ford it's even less. I mean Ford if he doesn't get 800 yards, it's, you
Yeah,
know,
I had an angry. I think I would go sad because he didn't even get the first 2
Happy.
games.
Happy. You mean?
Happy.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really play, although he had the 69 yards against the Steelers the long run when Nick got hurt. But really, he has.
but that was the third game.
But that's the game that he got hurt. So
Right.
he missed 2
Wasn't that the second
as
game?
the lead back.
That was the second game.
It was the second game.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh
was
was
Oh
the
right,
second
yeah,
game.
you're right.
He
So
missed
it's
1 game, yeah.
1.5. Oh, whatever.
Yeah. All right, what else you got?
All right, next up's Kareem Hunt, who currently has 196 yards and 5 touchdowns. Will he end the season with 475 and 10?
Yeah, no question.
275 yards over 9 games.
9 games, correct. He's
I mean,
averaging
75
You're
30
asking
yards,
for 35 yards a game.
30
Yeah,
yards
I'm gonna
and
go
5
with that.
He's
touchdowns.
averaging 32 yards a game right now.
Because I don't
Yeah.
think his role is going to change much.
Yeah.
You don't?
Yeah, I
well,
don't.
Well, if you think that Ford's going to get fewer carries, they've got to
I
go
think
to
it's
someone.
other people that are going to get him.
Well, I could see Strong picking up some, but I can also see Kareem Hunt picking up more.
I think they're going to want to keep him on limited carries. I think that's how they feel like he's going to
okay,
go.
to stretch
the
him out.
hunch. Yeah.
That's a good thought. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this, Jay, because I've been meaning to ask you this. What I was gone. What was the blowback from his comments after not getting the ball in the fourth quarter? None?
Very little, none.
Because he
Yeah.
was right.
Well, I don't know that you're ever like you want guys to want the ball, and I don't think what he said.
He actually
was that-
apologized.
and I don't think he said anything that was really that.
And when I
egregious.
saw it, I was like, uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, no.
And I didn't know what the blowback was being out of town and not being as
No,
close
I
to
didn't.
it.
I didn't think it was anything
Good.
egregious.
I'm
really
glad
that
to
he
hear that.
said, and
Because I think
don't
his heart is in the right place. You're right. I do want my back. I mean, it's kind of egregious that he doesn't have a carry in the fourth quarter.
Well, it was just that
But
game.
again, I think it depends
No, I know,
on,
but that's the game he was
yeah.
talking
It
about.
depends on the role that you want him to have, and he's more of a situational guy. And if that situation doesn't present itself,
Well, it kind of did
but
on
it
the
go-
play that was an interception.
oh well, on
That's
the
a perfect situation
See,
to use him.
I'm just so ambivalent on that play call. I don't really care. I know everyone got up in arms about
Yeah, I
the
hated
33
it.
run call.
I
I
mean-
didn't have that big of a problem. with it.
And the thing of it was, like, I know you had sent out a lot of stats that said, look, your chances of picking it up are it's a flip.
yeah,
I'm okay with punting.
actually, it
I'm
wasn't.
better with punting than an interception.
The numbers favored running it. in
I know
that
they did,
spot,
yeah.
heavily at 3rd and 3 because at first I ran at 3rd and 4.
defense-
3rd and 3.
yeah, when you said 3rd and 4, I go, wow, I thought that was 3rd
in
and
the
No, I
end, the
messed that
defense
up.
needs to stop them. They're the better
You're
unit
right.
now.
Listen,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But the defense has a much better chance if you punt the ball and it goes inside
Sure,
the
but they
10-yard
still
line.
had to go 58 yards. It's not like they had to go
I'd rather
10
they had to
yards.
go 90.
I hear you. Stop them.
I'd rather win the game.
Yeah.
I'd rather get a first
Well,
down and win
that's
the game.
Right. Well, in a
hold on to the
perfect
ball
world,
and
yes.
hold on to the
But
ball.
Did you want a pony for Christmas?
Listen, we don't need to go down this rabbit hole again, but I know everyone dislikes P.J. Walker, and he's substandard. You're still an NFL quarterback. You ought to be able to complete a 3-yard
Yeah, but
pass.
that's why I don't want it.
You ought to be able to complete a 3-yard
All right, what's the
pass.
next
Next,
one?
Mike.
Next up's Amari Cooper, who we spoke about a little earlier this show. 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns. Attainable? Out of the question.
Yes.
Should he not?
He's
This might be a
never
bonus
had.
one.
I don't think he's ever had 1,200 in his
He has.
career.
He had 1,216 as his career high.
I'm split on this. He's not getting 7 touchdowns. He's only got 2 right now. I think the yards is doable.
Yeah.
But it's not
I
going to
think
be
he's
easy.
going to get both because I'm going to say that Watson's going to play a
The
lot better. The
quarterback
rest of the
play,
season.
yes,
is
should
going to
be
get better, which
vastly
will help
better.
him.
Yeah, but he's got 2 touchdowns, guys.
Right, because Watson has only played half the time, right? And
Okay.
he
His
has played
touchdowns
well.
have come from Watson.
But we
And
all
Bull,
just
I was
said
wrong. He does not have 1,200 in his career. I apologize.
you just said earlier. We all agreed that Watson would throw. How many touchdowns did you have Watson throw in the rest of the year?
18. So that's
18?
12 more than he has already.
No, 12. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
throwing
so
So
he has
12 the
18
rest of the
total,
year.
12 more for the rest of the year.
So I think it's reasonable to think that 5 of those 12 will go to Amari Cooper.
And
If we
now
agree
I
he's
feel
gonna
like,
throw
I feel
12.
like G. Bush now before the season started with all
Yeah.
these crazy projections. I don't know.
I don't think that's crazy. I mean,
I think the 1,300 is doable, but the 7 touchdowns, I know its quarterback play has been
Yeah.
horrible, but for some reason this team just doesn't throw touchdown passes to wide receivers. It's not their thing.
It's not their thing. It's not, but, but he could have one game with 2 touchdowns. I don't think that's not.
again, he only needs
outrageous.
5
He
in
could.
9 games. I mean, he's had 2 and 8 with terrible quarterback play. I don't think 5 and 9 is crazy.
Yeah, no, maybe it's
Yeah.
doable. I hope so.
I think that one is definitely doable. I wanted to go higher, but then I thought it would have been too crazy. So
No, you were right.
that
in
was
the good
that was in
number.
the right range.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Elijah Moore. About 600 yards and 2 touchdowns.
No, I mean he might get the 2 touchdowns, but he ain't getting 600 yards.
He has 270 on the season right now, averaging 33.8 yards per game.
So
You
he
know-
needs 330.
Which he's basically staying on pace. I'm going to say absolutely, hell yeah, he better. And here's why. I trust Aditi. Aditi, when she comes on this show, says, guys, look, it's going to happen. There are things that are slowing it down now. It's going to happen. to your point on the quarterback play. All he's got to do is maintain his current pace, and he's there. Well, he better exceed his current pace because the quarterback play is going to be much better.
Yeah.
I don't know that I was ever as high on Elijah Moore as everybody else was.
I'm with you on there.
I am too.
I am on the negative on that.
Tyvus spoiled us on that.
They've tried him in some roles to make him more of a playmaker, and he totally fell on his face.
Yeah,
and that wasn't the quarterback play or anything else. That was just his ability.
I mean, it seems like he's
Him in
lost
the
more yards
backfield,
on running plays
yeah.
than he's gained.
Thankfully, it seems like that has been sunset, the Elijah Moore in the backfield.
Remember we did a poll before the season. I don't remember, Mike. I think we did a poll like who's going to be second on the Browns in rushing yards.
Earl put that poll on his Twitter. That was
right.
an Earl Twitter.
And I think we had a good percentage of the fan base that had Elijah Moore second on the Browns in rushing.
In rushing?
Yards. Yeah. Am I crazy, Earl, or did people say that? Am I right?
No, you're absolutely right.
I think like a third of the people maybe voted.
Our fans need therapy. Yeah, they really do.
Nick Chubb might wind up second on the Browns.
They were people. There were people who was like,
2 games.
he's going to be our Debo Samuel. Yeah.
Yes. God, I
He's-
hate when expectations get
Yeah.
raised with really no, and everybody keeps saying, oh, in practice he was, well,
Yeah.
I don't need to see it in practice. I need to see it in the games.
He's more like Debo from Friday.
Okay,
I
what
was
else?
trying to. Nick Chubb's third on the team in rushing.
He's third on the team.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He's played 5 quarters.
Game and a
Elijah
half.
Moore's going to finish.
He's played 6 quarters
13th
of
in
football.
rushing.
He's third on the team in rushing.
Unbelievable.
How many rushing yards does Elijah Moore have right now?
On the
200
season, Elijah Moore currently
Oh,
has
like-
8 carries, 11 yards. And his long carry was 19 yards.
So the rest of his carries are 7 for negative.
He's got most
8
of his
or
carries have
something.
gone for negative yards.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be fast. You have to know what to do with it. And honestly, in the limited time that we've seen Marquise Goodwin, give me more of that. He knows where to run.
Yeah, and
He's in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
obviously.
And I know he
is,
hasn't
but
done
he's not
anything
gonna be
yet,
in
but I'd like to see
all
some of
season.
Cedric Tillman and David Njoku's having a decent season. I see nothing from Elijah. I could certainly be wrong.
Did you
But
see
I've
the
seen
Njoku
nothing
interview?
from Elijah Moore on the field that makes me think he's any good. He has no sense of the sideline when they throw him the ball. Like, you throw the ball to Amari Cooper on the sideline.
He knows where
if
he
it's
is.
possible, in any way, he will keep his feet in. Always. The good receivers always do. Elijah Moore has no sideline
Even if the
sense.
refs think he went out of bounds.
That's right.
He's in bounds.
That is,
All
that
right,
is
next
true.
up, David Njoku, 750 and 5.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
doable for Chief?
Absolutely.
Where is
He's
he
at
right now?
319 and 2 right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think
in.
his role is increasing as the season's gone on.
He's their number 2 receiver,
And-
essentially.
Yeah, and as Deshaun gets more back into the rhythm, I think it's doable. God, I feel like G. Bush right now.
I wanted to go higher on that one. I probably should have went a little
Yeah,
higher.
because that's
I'll be honest,
what?
probably should've went a little higher.
That's about 430 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Over
the most
9
he's
games.
ever had in a season, Mike?
For
He had
David
900.
Njoku's career, the most yards he has had
I think he had 900.
is his second year, 639.
Oh, geez, that's it?
Yes, his second
my
year, 2018. He had
So-
628 last year.
So
But doesn't
he's-
this feel like his best season?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it
Especially, I remember earlier in the season he did nothing.
I know.
But the last few weeks he's played really well.
All
Like,
jokes
3-4
aside, since the crazy burn accident, he's
played
played the
out
best
of his
football of his
mind.
career. Yeah.
God, I couldn't get over yesterday. He doesn't have any scarring on his face.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like they're shooting him with stem cells? What's going
I don't
on?
know. He didn't really want to talk about it.
No, he didn't.
All right, let's move to the defensive side of the ball, guys. This is just one stat per player here. Let's start with Myles Garrett. He's at 9.5 sacks. Well, he finished with 19.5.
Yes.
I think he will.
Yes. We've talked
3
before.
yeses.
We talked earlier this week about how it's been hot starts for him in the past, and then it kind of
Tapers off.
slides as
Yeah.
the year goes on. I think this is the year that it stays or even goes even higher.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
this is his year. Defensive MVP.
He's on right now. If I had to cast my vote,
It's him.
it's
Yeah,
him.
he's right there.
Bill
It's him.
Barnwell of ESPN.com put out his midseason awards.
Yeah,
And Myles Garrett was his defensive
Good.
player of the year.
good.
He should be.
That makes me feel better. I think he is.
Man, this the guy. There's some interesting guys in the mix for Defensive Player of the Year that
It's
we
a
don't
good, it's a
talk.
good list.
No, I know.
I feel like we talk about the same guys like Miles and Watt and maybe Bosa, but like
Parsons.
Micah Parsons
and
is
Micah
in that
Parsons.
conversation.
Max
But
Crosby.
Max Crosby of the
Crosby's
Raiders.
having.
That guy's an
tremendous
animal,
year.
and I'm not going to be. I hate to be a homer, but Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals is the most underrated pass rusher in the
Playing
league.
very well right now.
So, but I'd still vote for Myles Garrett right now.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other guys, just to name some names, but Geno Stone of the Ravens has 6 interceptions. He's on pace for 13.
He's a ball hawk.
Wow.
Which
6 interceptions.
It's going to be absurd. He's never going to keep that pace up.
Can't. But
13 interceptions, like right now,
Yeah.
6 through 9 games is impressive. And Fred Warner also
Fred Warner's
right in
another
that
one.
conversation.
Having
All right,
a
let's go to the
terrific
next
year.
defense lineman for the Browns. It's Darius Smith, who has sacks in 2 of his last 3 games. He has 2 on the season. We finished with 4.5 more for 6.5 this year.
It's funny. Last year he had a lot of sacks first half of the season, and then like none in the second half. Maybe he'll reverse that this year.
Yeah. Or it's a trend.
Yeah. Or
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no
I'm
on
gonna
that
say
one.
no.
too.
I'm going to be optimistic. I'll say he gets. I'll say he gets right there.
How many?
4.5 more.
He had a sack in garbage time last week.
Yeah.
It was at the end of the game.
It was at the end. And it was against a bad team.
Yeah, and
His
yeah.
pass rush analytics are very good, though. He's generating pressures. He's just
Yeah.
not getting
Yeah,
sacks.
right.
I think he'll get there. And remember, there's still some bad teams, offensive
And hell,
teams on the schedule.
He has one game where he gets a couple of sacks.
Right. Like
Right.
they're playing the Jets, who have a terrible offensive line. You're playing the Bears still. Like there's
true.
some games.
Yeah,
if
you
he
should
stays
be able to
healthy,
get fat on those
yeah.
2 teams alone.
All right, next up. Also, in your thing about like one game can change everything, Dalvin Tomlinson, his career high in sacks for a season was 3.5. He had 3 last week. So
But it
he's
was
on pace
2.5
for-
last week.
He got credited with an extra one. It went up to 3.
Really?
Nice.
Technically, had 3 sacks last week.
That's
yes.
amazing. His career high was 3.5. He did 3
He
in
did
one
twice,
game.
but 3.5 sacks was his career high. He had 3 last week.
Yeah.
So, and Myles Garrett should technically be credited with 2 of those because he forced Clayton Tune up in the pocket. Right
Yeah,
with
I know.
Dalvin's
See,
hand.
there's sometimes
But-
the sack stat. I like it.
Yeah.
But there's so many times that there's a disruptive force, and it's been
yeah.
Myles Garrett a lot.
Yeah.
There's a disruptive force, and someone else is able to slide in and get home.
Yep.
Right.
Sack
And
numbers
it's-
are not the only number that matters in terms of pass rushing.
Absolutely.
It's actually
Yeah.
probably
you can
of
easily
the-
back into a sack.
Yes. All right, next up, though, let's talk about our boy Ogbo. Also 6.5 sacks, currently 2.5.
Two?
Same
Oh,
pace
2.5.
as he has 2.5. He has half more than Darius right now, so 4 more for him the rest of the season. Do you think our boy Ogbo will get to 6.5 sacks?
I do.
The analytics on him haven't been as good, Mike, right?
Correct. Zadarius has been a much more effective pass rusher than Ogbo. Ogbo technically has more sacks right now.
By the way, I'll throw this little nugget out there. The Browns should go sign what's his name?
JPP?
JPP, right.
Yeah.
Look at that telepathy. He
know.
did not tell me that.
Nice job. I couldn't think of his first name. Jason Pierre-Paul. That's it. Make his strength even stronger. How much is he going to cost at this point of the year?
He's a little long in the tooth, though.
He started 11 games for the Ravens last year. It can't be that bad. I mean, if he's starting for the Ravens,
I think now you can have, like Brad kept talking about Ndamukong Suh last year.
Yeah.
This is a different team. This is a different situation.
Right, they're a
It's a different
contender this year.
defense. Now these guys that only want to show up for half the year, they might be interested
Sure.
now in coming here, whereas last
right?
year.
How much are you going to pay him?
I
$1
don't
million,
think-
$1.5 million the rest
Yeah.
of the year?
And again, have to say every dollar counts on this cap and the rollover. But to your point,
Yeah.
it should be a minimal addition.
Yeah, I mean,
Sign him for the rest
But
of the season.
I like it. I mean, they have good depth on the defensive line, but you can never have enough
There's
depth
a
there.
reason. Oh, I think there's a couple reasons why they didn't really do anything at the trade deadline in terms of giving away assets because they don't have very
Right.
many.
No, they got to cling to him.
And it's the cap situation. Again, every dollar matters in the rollover. But
Other teams are signing these guys. Does it not matter for those teams?
$64 million.
One year. That's 1 year.
Then
And
it goes
then
up
it
to
goes
85.
Are the well, the Bengals are a bad example because they don't, go to the cap. But the Chiefs spend a ton of money on Patrick Mahomes. The Browns not the only team spending a ton of money on a
Like
quarterback.
Mahomes' hit, I think, is coming. I looked this up because
Yeah.
you kept mentioning it. Now I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Next time I'll be ready for you next
All
time.
right.
It's
because
25. It's not next year.
No, his hit next year I think is in line with Deshaun, but it hasn't been as egregious until
Yet.
this point.
Yet.
But
All
they-
right, but
they
it all
both-
rolls over.
I
Every
have
dollar
your numbers right here, Jason. In 2024, so
Yeah.
next season, his cap hits $57 million.
So that's
The
still,
following
it's
year,
still
it's
7 million less.
61 million, and the year after that, it's 63.
And
And-
what
and-
does Watson go to eventually?
Deshaun is 64 next year, and then I don't remember the increase. I think it's right around the same every
It's
year.
right around the same. It's,
But
it's a ton of
$7
money.
million is significant.
It is. It's a lot of money.
They could spend $1 million on a player here and there.
Yes. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying every decision matters. Every dollar counts.
Only because they have screwed up too many draft picks. That's why.
Well,
because
yeah.
Has a lot to do with it.
Because
Yeah.
if you pay your quarterback a ton of money, it leaves you with less margin for error to screw up your draft
When you
picks.
keep missing on 3rd and 4th round receivers.
Yes.
Yeah, doesn't
That
help.
screws you up.
Update
help.
real quick. Mary Kay just tweeted out the pre-practice injury report. David Bell is not playing with a knee injury.
Who?
Marquise David Bell.
Who's he?
Goodwin not playing with a concussion. DeJuan Jones not practicing today with a knee shoulder, so maybe that's why James Hudson's not
Oh,
practicing
yeah, that
right
would
tackle
explain that.
today.
Well, then who's
That
playing
would make
left?
sense.
They going with
Well,
a 2x4?
they just brought up
They're going with an
parking
unbalanced
lot?
line.
He's probably going to play.
2
I
tight
would
ends
think.
on the left.
Yeah.
Newsome not practicing. Njoku not practicing. And
Hey.
Pierre Strong not
That
practicing.
still doesn't
fine.
make sense.
Oh, Pierre Strong not practicing.
That still doesn't make sense. Because if
Yeah.
Hudson's your left tackle, you're going to put him at left tackle.
Right.
You're not going to put him at right tackle, even if DeJuan's out.
Yeah, that's weird.
Something
Maybe Hayden made a mistake. I don't
Something
know.
is odd with that.
Everyone else tweeted it. Like,
Okay.
everyone tweeted the same thing.
It
I'm
doesn't
just
make
saying,
sense, though. There's no logic behind
Maybe
it.
they're just taking a look at him there. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe, but I don't.
Maybe the only thing I can think of is that if DeJuan is going to miss some time too, that whoever the next tackle up is, they think he's better at left for whatever reason.
How many catches does David Bell have this year?
David Bell this
One
season.
that I remember.
I think 3.
One that I remember. The 3rd down.
I
conversion.
think I
The
remember
4th down. Was it
2.
4th down?
Okay,
He did have a big
let's
one.
go around the
Yeah.
horn. Let's make some guesses. What do you think?
I think 3.
3?
I think he's got 6.
6?
Going bold.
Jason?
4.
One of you guys is directly correct, and it is J-Lo. 4 catches, 7 targets, 33 yards.
That is.
He has 3 first downs on 4
That
catches.
literally. That is. It doesn't even. You don't
I mean-
even have to say anything about that.
The last 3 third-round picks at wide receiver, Anthony Short, Cedric Tillman, David Bell, in their careers, which is a total of 2 for Schwartz, 1.5 for Bell, and a half for. So it's essentially 4 total years between.
Well, they
them.
have 12 catches.
Probably more than that, but not much.
I mean, what did Schwartz have here?
Maybe 20.
He had more drops than catches, I bet. In my mind, he did.
Probably. I mean, it's
God, what a
pitiful.
what.
We got 3 more. We're going to run
Yeah.
through these real quick.
And if-
Denzel Ward has 2
Mike,
interceptions
one last
this
thing
season.
real quick, sorry.
Yes.
Think if you had just hit on one of those 3 guys. Now, again, it's too early to rule out Tillman. But if you had just hit on one of those 3 guys, what a difference it is. One,
kidding.
even a one.
You
Go ahead,
called
Mike.
it a blind
Yeah.
spot. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a blind spot.
Yeah.
And none of them did anything particularly well in college.
Well, David Bell
Till-
was Big Ten Receiver of the Year, which is a joke.
I know it was
considering
a
the guys that
joke,
went to Ohio
but
State.
I mean, when you think of their skill sets, Schwartz was fast. Purdue
Yeah.
caught a ton of, Bell caught a ton of catches in a passing offense at Purdue.
Tillman was highly thought of, though, coming
Yeah,
out.
he was, and he
I
had
know,
the
but
injury.
he dropped significantly because of the injury.
Well, the Browns.
Yeah.
Who was the other Tennessee receiver in that draft?
Jalen
Hyatt,
Hyatt.
who's done
yeah,
nothing for the
Hyatt
Giants
has
either.
done nothing
and
either.
the
Yeah.
Browns liked Tillman higher than
Yeah.
Hyatt. Even though
Go ahead,
Hyatt
Mike.
went
What's the
first.
next one?
We got 2 more here. We're going to skip one of these just because
Yeah.
we got to get some super chats in here. But Denzel Ward has 2 picks on the season. Will he finish the year with 5?
Yes.
Yes. I got him with 6. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's bold. That's
Let's
bold.
go right
That's
to
bold,
let's go
Gotti.
next one then. If we all agree, Emerson has 2 picks.
Yes.
Will he finish with 5?
Yes.
I don't care what number you put out there. I was saying yes to.
11.
13 picks. Yes.
Yes. My guy Martin.
Last one, Mike.
And last one, Greg
is.
Newsome,
One of the best.
Yeah.
Right now.
1 pick.
No.
Yes. My guy. Yes. He'll get one.
He'll have 1 pick
He'll get
for
one.
Indianapolis next season.
He'll get one. Oh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Bold take, Cotton.
Ooh. Hey, something for you for tomorrow since they're in such a mess at tackle. Joel Bitonio, left tackle. Discuss. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
talked about it yesterday.
Oh, did
I
you?
threw that out there.
Yeah,
You guys,
well,
you guys
know,
told me I was crazy.
The reason
mean,
I
if
say
you're
crazy is
top guard
we've
is hurt.
seen it before and didn't go well.
Well, you could play Nick Harris at guard.
At guard. Yeah, that's why, but Harris is your extra blocker right now because Michael Dunn is on IR.
Oh
Like,
my
it's-
God!
It's like this
And
is a
they're
problem,
still
guys.
5-3.
It's a-
but
Jason,
fire
let the record show,
Stefanski.
I
And you
mentioned
know
that
what?
exact
Could be
scenario
7-1.
yesterday, and they said I was crazy.
Well, I don't know that I would necessarily do it, but I mean, this is not
won't do
good.
it.
This is not good.
No,
The offensive
but
line
if
situation
DeWan
right
was
now.
out too, then you might make them desperate.
I mean, you
enough
might
to
need
do
a parking cone if DeWan's out too. Just
Wouldn't
put
Nick
it, just
Harris
lay a
be-
2x4 there.
Wouldn't you start Harris at guard? Wouldn't he be the next
I
guy
think
up?
he's too small to play guard.
Well, what's his name is hurt.
But with where you're at right
Yeah.
now,
I mean, who's their backup guard?
I think it's Nick.
Well, would you move Pochich to guard and Harris to center?
No, no.
Well, Harris is tiny.
You know
Move
what?
everybody over.
It sounds like the Guardians outfield. It really does. It sounds like the Guardians outfield
It's rough right now.
Speaking of
guys.
which, they should sign either Jorge Soler or Teoscar Hernandez.
Soler would be a
One,
great
they really should sign both, but I know that's crazy.
Hernandez is
Yeah.
going to get the bag, isn't he?
No.
You don't think so?
How old is he?
They get a decent.
What is
Those
he?
guys are both limited players, but they got
Teoscar's-
exactly what the Guardians need. Big-time power.
Teoscar's like 30, 31, I think.
Yeah, he's not getting the bag. Cody Bellinger's getting the bag. Shohei Ohtani's
Oh
getting
my
the bag.
God. Shohei Ohtani's going to break the record.
Although he can't pitch this year.
Still going to break the record because
Yeah.
he said he's going to pitch in 25.
Right. Yeah. But
So you're getting two players
Soler
for
would
one.
be, and Soler's a clutch guy too.
What did he hit? 30?
He's fun to
He
watch,
had
yeah.
probably 35 home runs this year, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean he's consistently hits a
just
ton. He'd be
pounded
perfect to
them.
hit fourth in this lineup.
Oh my
Perfect.
gosh.
Let's get some super chats in, guys, then we will close with whatever
They'll give him
else
a big
we got
deal,
on
sign
the
him and
agenda
release
here.
him in
Whenever
July.
we read super chats, it's brought to us by PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up. Plus, full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We got a decent amount of super chats. Dontavius Winston says, I still can't believe Jason thought it was a mistake to play Watson versus the worst team in the NFL, but bring him back versus Baltimore with no game reps in weeks with 3 laughing
It's
emojis.
easy to say after.
Hey, if you would have seen the videos that I was watching during the game of his practice on Friday, you'd understand why I was saying
Jason,
that.
wasn't
listen,
pretty.
it turned out to be the right move. It wasn't obvious before the game that it was the right move.
I'm telling
Come
you,
on.
the practice videos that were coming
That's-
out while
that's
we
a
were on the
silly
show
thing.
Friday of his throws
Yeah.
on Friday were horrendous. But hey, he pulled it together on Sunday.
Yep.
Next up's from Vernell Jackson. He says, in games Watson played the entire game, we've outscored opponents 100-32 and are 3-1. I think we're fine on Sunday. Go Brownies.
Yeah, that goes back to that ridiculous stat that somebody put in our chat group. That point differential in the games Watson's played is mostly about the defense. Let's be honest.
Of course it is.
Watson played an excellent game against Tennessee.
He did.
He played a solid second half against Arizona. If P.J. Walker, the Arizona offense was one of the worst offenses I've ever seen.
I think they got
in this game.
54 net yards.
Yeah, I mean, even P.J. Walker, they would have won handily, I think, against Arizona. Maybe not as handily, but handily, I think.
All right,
Guess
next
we'll
up
never
from Akimbo RPGs. He said they should use Pierre Strong like they used Nick Chubb.
No.
Timeless, the MC, says the Browns can go undefeated for the rest of the season. You guys will still invent something negative. Just watch the games. Much love.
If they go undefeated the rest of the season, we'll be good.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Look, to a lot of the fans, this is
Yeah.
what I've learned coming back here. I'd forgotten it when I moved away.
Yeah.
To a lot of the fans, they don't want to hear anything negative.
Yes,
They
that's true.
only want the positive, and they will argue with you
Yeah.
and defend the indefensible.
And a lot of fans only hear the negative.
Yes, and they think that's being a good fan.
Yeah.
What's
I
being
think
a
I've
good
been-
fan is honestly analyzing what you see on the field.
Yeah, I always thought my job was to be as honest about the football.
It
game.
is.
And that's it.
And you do it well.
And I think personally, I think I've been pretty positive about the team.
We all have.
Yeah, I think overall we've been pretty positive about the team. That's ridiculous.
All right, next one comes from JF. People want Houston Deshaun, but high percentage of passes are behind the line of scrimmage, and his average yards per pass is lowest with Browns. Too many backfield plays. M. Bynes.
I agree with that, by the way.
Well, this year I think it's his ADOT Sunday was really low for the first half because again it was all 5 yards.
Sure.
A lot of them were 5 yards.
Which
and then-
tells you that they knew that something was still
Yeah,
not right.
I mean,
That changed in the
Or
second
they
half.
wanted to
Yeah.
put the training wheels on for the first half and say,
Right.
let's keep it
Which
simple.
made sense.
And then let's open
And
it
then
up, which is
cut it.
what they did,
Although
really.
it was the third drive when he really ripped the one.
Made
Yeah.
Yep, you're
the
right.
60-yard throw.
Yep.
M. Bynes says Amari's impact to the team makes him a top 10 receiver. Devoid Arch Angle says, is Njoku's burn incident equal to Brennan hitting the bird? So Brennan's numbers went up after he hit the bird. Remember
That's
he killed the
true.
bird?
Yeah. Can we go back to two things?
I have one more, then we go back
Okay,
to whatever you want.
okay.
The last one comes from our guy Daryl. He said Browns win if the defense causes 2+ turnovers. Schwarzenegger's defense on
Like that,
offense,
Schwarzenegger.
featuring Njoku in
Came
a
up
heavy
with
screen
that?
game. The guy sitting right in front of you.
Darryl.
Whoa, Daryl, I love that. Schwarzenegger. I haven't heard that yet.
I actually haven't heard that either. I like that a lot too.
Schwarzenegger.
We've got a name for the defense. Thank
what
you,
were we
Daryl.
saying?
Huh?
Which one do you want to go back to?
Go back 2 of them. Now I guess it would be 3. Because Bull said, no, I disagree with that, but I disagree with Bull.
What's that?
Go back. Not the last one, not the second to last
Amari's
one.
impact on the team makes him top 10?
Yes. You said, no, I disagree. I do.
right, let me
here's
clarify.
why. He is more valuable to the Browns. If you look at percentage of a team's receiving yards, he's got to be top 5.
Maybe, but I don't think that makes you that's not a way to judge who's one of the 10 best receivers, in my opinion.
No.
I agree he's very valuable
what
to
the
the Browns.
comment was saying is he's a top 10 player because of his value to his team.
I don't buy because that guy is not looking at the value of anybody else to their team.
No, but he accounts for more receiving yards.
Overtime, we'll see that.